sweaty. Let's do this.
What's up with you, man? What you looking at, Kimasabi? You want to punch me right now? You want to punch me right now, but you won't. You want to punch me too, Brennan? You guys both look like you might want to hit me in the face. You do, I can tell. Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the fucking face! Oh! 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 Oh, my shoulder. That was awesome. Mom! Mom!
Hey, Derek, you know what's always good for shoulder pain?
What?
If you lick my butthole.
Oh, yeah, baby!
Welcome to the Popcast Unleashed. How exciting.
What's happening?
It's Thursday again, man.
It is.
Yeah, it's great to be here. The Thursday, September 28th, the last Thursday in September for 2023. How does it make you feel? Tell me honestly.
It's been a rough year.
it's the every Thursday, like the beginning is like the venting begins.
It's been a rough year.
Well, 2024 is, I mean, look, the writer's strike is over. I mean, it's got to be looking up, man.
Oh, yeah. It's much better.
All right. Well, as Brian self-medicates, I'm sure that it's a good thing we're already demonetized. It doesn't really matter now.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Nothing matters.
Anyways, welcome. Glad you guys are all here with us. Nothing matters. Glad to have you, except you guys. You guys matter. Thanks for hanging out with us and being here. It is, I will see so many wonderful, friendly faces in the chat over here. Also, everybody in the member section hanging out. If we've got those two sections of people going to it. We got some really fun stuff to talk about today with the WGA strike being over. Now the actors are still striking. It does.
Weren't they striking though because the writers were striking? Like
sorta, yeah. So they joined,
and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna keep this going. We don't want to work anyways.
There's actually a kind of a cool story about the last time they struck, and we can get into that when we get around to it. But essentially, the actors did join the writers because they were both kind of being screwed over. And last time there was a strike, they tried to show this united front, but it ended up not working out, and everybody was like every man for themselves. So it really gave the studio like an upper hand, and I think them actually bonding together is what broke things. But we'll definitely be talking about that going forward.
Awesome.
We also got some Warp Factor news today. You know, I keep saying every week there's
Factor news.
There's not going to be any Star Trek news, but yet it just keeps coming. So we'll keep doing Warp Factor news as long as there's things to talk about. We're also doing the box office roundup. We're getting better at this. I think, you guys are going to want to come here every week to get this information because it literally is an update on what's happening, what's coming, what's going on at the box office. And that is like a wildly changing landscape all the time. So that's interesting. And if we have time, we'll talk about the MetaQuest 3 coming out and their partnership with Xbox Cloud Gaming that I think is going to change the landscape of gaming forever. So,
sorry, I'm just trying to fix that real quick.
I'm used to it.
I realized I didn't load up our Warp Factor news title.
Oh, the one you made? Yeah, which looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything new with you? Anything you want to talk about before we get into it, or?
Well,
talk about this Unleashed Hero stuff.
Okay, I've been sick for a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta go to the doctors, right? my heart rate was like 175 a couple nights ago. And which, by the way, when you check your heart rate, it makes your heart rate higher because now you're nervous about your heart rate. So it's a double-edged sword. I called the doctors. I was like, I'm going to make an appointment. And I called to make an appointment. My wife finally got us health insurance. And, I was on the phone for almost 3 hours. They asked me for so much information. They asked me everything that was on the card, in addition to everywhere my wife worked, everywhere I worked. She was asking, at one point, I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am, just so we're aware, I don't know you at all. And at this point, you have my social security number, you have my phone number, my address, where I work, the names of my kids. Like, I don't know what to do with this. This feels like if I called the wrong number, I am just in so much trouble right now because I've given you everything. Like, what do you want next? My bank routing numbers? Like, what's the plan here? And she goes, well, this is what we need. I'm like, I don't think you do need all this information to set up an appointment.
Oh, it was to set up an appointment?
Just to set up an appointment, dude. I already had insurance.
Yikes.
And so I'm going through this process. And finally, she goes, okay, I'm going to put you on hold. I'll be right back. And these been on hold for like 45 minutes. And I'm sitting there like,
oh my God. You thought she just stole your stuff and bailed.
Bro, and I know. I'm calling because my heart rate was super high. And because of this phone call, my heart rate is now once again super high. My wife comes in from work, that's how long it took, and takes over the call and spends another hour on the phone with them. I'm like, what's the process here? Do we have like the worst health insurance ever or what?
Probably. Yeah. There's no good health insurance.
And she's like, yes, we do.
Well, it's all so expensive. Ryan and I had this talk this week about the disgust over insurance. I mean, I paid the house payment, which is always a problem because when I do, I'm looking at like the breakdown of everything. When you realize you spend $1,600 a month on home insurance. And by the way, if something does happen to your house, like let's say you got a leak or something, or just something basic happens, the first $2,000 comes out of your pocket. So even though you're paying $1,600 a month, you're basically hoping that you have a fire at some point. I mean, that's really all that you.
Right, you're hoping the place burns down, so you can recap a little bit of the money that you've wasted.
Yeah. It's tough when you're putting out. I don't know. I mean,
the first $2,000, like that's so crazy too, because like 90% of home repairs can be handled in $2,000,
and they know that, and they're hoping that you don't call them. I mean, that's kind of the way it works. When something happens, if it's going to cost less than $2,000, what's the point of calling them? So, and then your rates go up when you do. It's
got to be catastrophic for any reason for you to call them.
Right, but only a fire, because if it's an earthquake, a tornado, a tsunami, none of those things are covered by insurance. So.
Yeah,
that's where we're at today, and we're in California.
I'm sorry, earthquakes and fires aren't covered by it. Why are you paying them?
Fires are, and only in non-fire zones. So, like, if you're in like a really high like fire zone, you have to pay extra.
How are earthquakes not covered? We live in California.
If you can get special earthquake coverage,
this is earthquake town.
Seriously, it's like, no, you're right. We should start an insurance business. We should all listen. Everybody watching the channel today, right now, let's all get together. Let's pull our money and let's start the podcast insurance.
Right.
Just I mean, listen, we'll all be rich. Apparently,
we'll all be filthy rich.
Right. It's like, I mean, I've spent. We were doing the math, and it was like, I think it's like $30,000 a year in insurance. And then like $10,000 or $12,000 a year in property tax, right?
Oh,
if
God.
we were to save all that money, I think we were talking about, and I stuck it in like a dividend account, I'd have like $444,000 from the last 10 years saved up in an account. Have I used any insurance for vehicle, for health? I mean, a little bit health, home, none. So that's just, I could go buy my own house somewhere else or buy any vehicle I wanted at this point. It's like, anyways, we could do this all day long.
Okay, so just so you guys know, the stream, our stream hero at the top left right now, it says Popcast Unleashed, has an HP of 1,000 HP. You can chunk into that until you become the stream hero by going to the top right link, streamlabs.com/the Popcast Unleashed. I'll show you that right now. And I'm sorry, the podcast live. And it's pretty awesome because if you go to this website, not only can you watch it, you can comment, and you can even tip us and chunk down that stream hero. And if you are the stream hero, we're going to do a special roll at the end of the stream, and you're going to get a prize. It's that simple.
Yeah, I think the prize is a mystery box.
Mystery box.
Mystery box. But yeah, last week we didn't have a stream hero, so yeah, please support us because we are demonetized, and we appreciate it. Over a little thing over here, Drew D mentioned a shout out for me because of fantasy football this last week. We noticed, Brian, you're not checking your fan, and maybe because you've been sick, you haven't checked your fantasy football schedule, or your roster. But you should check it. Just heads up.
Am I winning?
No, you won the first week, but you've lost the last two. But I had an incredible week. My Dolphins scored 70 points against the Denver Broncos. I won fantasy football. It was great. Thanks, Drew, for reminding me to mention this. If you want to go, and that's a good shout out for Discord, because if you guys want to talk with us during the week, we got our Discord channel, and they're over there always making fun of Brian, which is hilarious. There's some great. You look like a guy from the Super Mario Brother movie.
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Did you see that? I mean,
I didn't see that. No,
it's uncanny strange how much you look like a character from the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you get a chance, go on Discord and look.
I'll go look right now.
Right?
Why not?
You look exactly like him. So we've got that, and just a little shout out from Chappie in the member section here. Member for 5 months. Join us in the Podcast Prime chat. We have cookies. Of course, to do that, become a member. It's like $2.99 a month.
We have cookies.
Thank you, Chappie, for that. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna go check that. I'm gonna check that too.
Yeah, when you get that, spit it up here because I think everybody deserves. And they even have a meme of you, like below it, which is great.
Of course.
Right.
Every time I log into Discord, it's like, "Would you like nitro? Get nitro. You want nitro?" I'm like, "Stop, please.
Let's just spend your money.
Please leave me alone. I don't want nitro."
We're going to talk writer strike. The Warp Factor news we have today for everybody's Star Trek crazy still. We are going to be talking about Patrick Stewart's ending for Picard season 3, what he says in the article, and then the truth that we know behind that, the actual truth of how that went down, because it's different what Patrick says than what actually was going to happen. And of course, he's an actor, so why not? Star Trek 4 reboot, huh? Maybe that's what they it came out again. Somebody talking reboot, or did they misspoke about it? Also, the holograms all the way down, super short. I think they're calling it, or extreme sport.
The very short treks.
Very short trek. We're going to talk about that as well, which was very interesting.
They're so dumb.
Do you have an image for us?
I'm trying to find it. You said it's in Discord. There's a lot of stuff in Discord.
Should be in Unleashed.
Unleashed.
The
Okay.
Unleashed sub, and shouldn't be too far. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of stuff we talked about in there, but
There's
an image of a character from the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it's. Did you find it?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
All right. I'll have
So.
to find it for you.
Yeah, let me know if you guys find it and I'll see it.
All right. Well, we'll find it later. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll look for it in the members section because we are going to go there today afterwards and talk about some
Yeah, boy.
So let's talk strike. The thing about the strike, this is actually for people who, really enjoy new content and are excited about shows continuing instead of us getting a bunch of reality TV shows. This is a good thing that the writer's strike ended when it did. If it had continued going on for a few more weeks, then I can promise you we would have ended up with tons of reality TV shows going into 2024. And you could already see them starting to line up. You got the Big Brothers. I think The Biggest Loser is coming back. You could see that they were starting to ramp up for lots of reality TV shows. But the end of the writer's strike means that we can get back to scripted content. Now, we do have the actors still on strike, but we'll get to them here shortly. So what happened? How did the strike end up coming to a close? LA Times actually did a really good article about kind of what happened, and essentially what happened was there was this everybody was pretty much incommunicado about the whole strike for quite some time. It started way back in May, and then on a Sunday night in September 10th, Chris Kaiser, the WGA negotiating committee co-chairman, called Walt Disney's co-chief executive, Walt Disney Company's chief executive, Bob Iger.
Of course, he's a Kaiser. Sorry.
Dude, that was just wrong. That was wrong in so many ways. They spoke for more than an hour, and the two agreed that it was silly to squabble over terms. They needed to work together to resolve the stalemate. So Iger promised on that phone call, I guess, to spend as long as it would take to get a deal done. Now, Iger has got his butt handed to him lately, with the stock price continuing to go down, movies failing left and right, and even though we're not planning to talk about it today, he has admitted to maybe getting out of culture wars for a bit. We'll yet to see what that means. So Iger said he'd work on it. 3 nights later, Kaiser reached out to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, and Zaslav stepped away from a party to take that call. A week later, Iger, Zaslav, and NBC Universal Studio Group Chairman Donna Langley and Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos arrived early at the AMPTP's headquarters to begin working on negotiations for WGA. So it looks like, they finally come to the terms like, look, and part of the reason why is the studios kind of felt like they were going to be able to like hold out, and that eventually these guys would crack because they couldn't make their payments, like mortgage payments and things like that.
Yeah,
and
they're like, we're just going to hold off until they can't eat.
Right. And then they kind of thought that the actors and writers and everybody would kind of like go, go on their own direction like they did in the previous strike.
Right.
And that the studios would end up winning out. The studios still saved millions of dollars not having to work on production stuff. So
right.
The strike in the end will end up being good for the studio. Now, this is a good deal for the writers.
Is it though?
It is. It is a good deal. They got basically everything that they wanted in the deal, and we're going to go through it here. The new agreement is for the next 2.5 years, from basically now until May 1st, 2026. So it's a 2.5 year, 3-year agreement, they call it.
That's a short agreement. It
is. But they extend the agreements. So they'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll go for another 3 years, whatever.
Interesting.
They likely won't make a lot of adjustments. The minimum basic agreement, okay, so minimum pays for writers, will increase about 12.5% over the next 3 years. If you want, Brian, you can pull up the summary of the 2023 WGA MBA link, and people can kind of, it's hard to follow along. I actually looked for software that allows us to like draw, like write on these things, and we could actually highlight stuff. But I'm
looking at it right now.
So they got about a 12.5 pay increase over the next 3 years, which is something they wanted. They got an increase in the health and pension contribution rate. So more money is going to go towards their health care. More money is going to go towards their pensions. They got some artificial intelligence protections. Those artificial intelligence protections, and this is interesting because this is what we've been kind of talking about lately, and is important for them. So here's some of the regulations that they can't do. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI generated material will not be considered source material under the MBA, meaning that AI generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credit or separated rights. So they didn't want basically to be replaced by AI.
Well, look at this though. A writer can choose to use AI when performing writing services.
But we'd like our job to still be easier, so we want to utilize the AI.
If the company consents and providing the writer follows applicable company policies, the writers are all going to be using AI.
Look, I don't necessarily know that that's true.
Of course.
Because all I do is write all day long, and I have yet to use AI for anything because I don't trust it, and B, I'm going to feel like I feel like I'm doing something dirty by letting somebody else do my creative work.
Yeah, you feel that way, but I guarantee you these writers don't feel that way.
They don't care about their work. I mean, maybe that's
I
that's the
mean,
way they feel. I can't do it. Now, if I'm stuck in something and I'm like, maybe if I'm not sure how to start a project or something like that, maybe that's different. I mean, these guys are also writing scripts, um, for stuff pretty significantly.
right? But they
I
can
don't know.
they can feed in like like let's say they're writing Picard season 4. They can feed in all the scripts from the first 3 seasons, and then literally
It's
generate.
not that good yet, though.
I know, but it can generate an outline for the 4th season that sort of sets them up, and they can adjust it from there. I mean,
I'll be really disappointed if writers start allowing the ideas for their creations to come from AI. Like that's like if as a writer, like the one thing that means the most is the idea.
imagine this. Imagine if we actually took what our Shane 3 AI did for YouTube, and we actually adjusted some of his talking points and like made it more lucid, right? What if if we did that, it would feel like it's coming from a person. You wouldn't know. All we have to do is adjust some of the more crazy stuff, and boom, you have like a solid script for the next Fast and Furious movie.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean, there to some degree. Well, that's what. Well, I guess the writers want to get the credit for that instead of the studio. So, and it worked. I guess the studio doesn't really care as long. Also, a couple other things here. The company must disclose to the writer if any materials given to the writer have been generated by AI or incorporated AI generated material. Because a lot of times writers are given something to start with and to work on. And so they have to be told whether or not it's been AI generated. I'm not sure why that's important. But it is apparently.
So yeah, it sounds like the writers came out on top there.
They definitely did. I think, and the WGA reserves the right to assert that exploitation of writers' material to train AI is prohibited. So they can't use the material written by writers to train AI either. So
yeah, but I guarantee you, other people are going to use it. So
I think you're
that
right.
just makes the studio. That just puts the studios at a disadvantage to independence.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. They also got improved terms for screenwriter employment. So the people writing your movies, the screenwriters, they will keep the studios from taking people's work, paying the minimum, and then pushing their work off to other monetary friendly writers within the studio system. So a lot of times somebody will write a script, the studio will be like, "Oh, cool, hey, thanks. Here's a little bit of money," and then they'll give it to somebody else to rework it. And they did put in protections in place that they now get a guaranteed second step. So if they wrote the script, now they're going to get a second step on that rewrite.
Oh yeah, that way they don't do all the leg work, and then someone else just punches it up and gets the credit.
Exactly. So there's some things in place for that. They also got an improvement on the video on demand terms. So they get bonuses now for views. And companies like Amazon have agreed to provide the Writers Guild with the total number of hours streamed under a confidentiality agreement. So this is a new thing. Like they don't want to tell anybody what the streaming numbers are, but under this agreement, they're now going to have to share this with the WGA. Now the WGA legally isn't allowed to say what the streaming numbers are, but they'll get enough information to properly pay the writers.
So the writers and give the writers ammunition in negotiations,
right? Or
for the next season or whatever, right?
Right.
Well, it seems like the writers really won this, and I'm confused because the studio could have just waited longer.
I mean, they could have, but the problem is that they were starting to look like uncaring pricks. And I mean, while most people know that, like, and the people like us that cover the studios, we know that, but average Americans don't. And the comments that were coming out about basically, insiders saying we're just going to starve them out, like this, it just did not look good. And I think when they realized that the actors and the writers were going to stick together on this as long as it took, I think they realized, look, there's no point in waiting it out. We've already made several $100 million, by having the strike last this long. We might as well start going again. Plus, I don't think that they're looking forward to to trying to fill unscripted content for the future either.
Yeah, it would be very difficult if your next quarter or year was all unscripted content, and and even when they tried to get some talk shows to cross the picket line, so Bill Maher was like, I'm just gonna restart without writers, it's no big deal.
So was Drew Barrymore,
and a bunch of people lambasted him, and he's lucky that they got the strike was quote unquote over before so he can be like, yeah, never mind, we're cool, we're gonna go.
Right.
But I mean, that didn't work out though. People criticized him so heavily that it wouldn't have been an option for the talk shows to come back without writers. So yeah, I mean, your entire next filming season would have been all unscripted content, a whole lot of Survivor, guys.
No, yeah, and so your content across the spectrum, people were going to get really pissed about it, and they knew they had a limited amount of time, to get away with this. But I mean, think about just your nightly talk shows that everybody watches, gone. Those are writers, SNL writers, all that stuff is gone. So not that SNL's any good. A couple other things that they got here, they got this thing called increased compensation for series employment. So writer co-producers, say our good friend Christopher Monfett, who worked on Picard season 3, is now going to earn about 10% more over the weekly minimums. And you can make, if you're a writer co-producer on a show like Picard season 3, I mean, you could make $8,000 or $9,000 a week while you're working on that show, especially if you work for more than 20 weeks.
These are all minimums, so you can always negotiate for a higher amount.
Right. Depending on, I mean, so the minimums, the reason why the minimums are good in place is because I think most people get paid the minimums.
Right.
So that they just keep doing that. The development room writer guarantees. So this was another thing. They were putting writers, they were having small writing rooms do lots of work on multiple series. And then they were paying them baseline prices. So they got a guarantee that included more writers in the writers' rooms and higher regular rates. So that got some help.
Oh my gosh, I just saw something that actually excited me.
Oh, tell me.
We agreed to increase the number of episodes on new made-for-broadcast series that can get a single free promotional run from 2 to 3, and with the number of episodes capped at no more than 25% of the season.
Don't get too excited because that's a specialty thing. It's not for all.
Damn
things.
it.
Yeah, no, that was not for. It would have been cool if you get more.
I just want more episodes, dude. I'm tired of these 8-episode seasons. It's not a guys. It's not a season. And 8 episodes is not a goddamn season. That is a mini series at best. Okay, that's like a special. When X-Files returned for an 8 episode run. These are 8 episodes. Is not what constitutes an entire season of television. We have to stop with this. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But it's not going to change. So get used to it because this is how they're making the most money.
It's the worst, dude. Everything is so short and just everything's garbage.
Yeah, and it's also, for the actors, it makes it tough because, if they get locked into one of these shows that goes 8 episodes and they're not going to film for another year or 2 years, it's hard for them to get work on another series or a movie because they don't know when they're going to have to come back and film again for another 8 episodes.
Right.
Makes it really tough. Subscription streaming services will now have weekly initial compensation minimums like television did. So anytime you hear the word television in any of this stuff, then that the writers and actors will feel like they're being properly compensated because back when television did it with the ad-based stuff, everybody was making money and people were happy. I was surprised to learn from this list that there is a showrunner training program. I had no idea this was the thing. People apparently the way it works is there's an agreement to renew a $250,000 annual fund. The studios put $250,000 into this annual fund for a showrunner training program. So for all of you writers out there that want to be showrunners, take advantage. money going into this fund. Or you could just call Terry Metalis and he'll teach you how to run a show properly.
What about this? I think this is actually going to make it worse. I'm looking at the graph here. It says number of episodes, 6 or fewer. Minimum writers in the writers' room, 3. Minimum producers, 3. 7 to 12, 5, 3. 13 plus, 6, 3.
That's minimum numbers, though.
So we're going to see, I bet you the studios are going to start making even shorter seasons.
Well, if you have 6 episodes, why do you need more than 3 writers?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
2 episodes a person. I mean, working together. Hopefully they're working together. That's the best writers' rooms. But, so I don't know. Those numbers look pretty good to me. I mean, some writers' rooms are more. Obviously, Picard season 3 had a larger writers' room than that. It had 10 episodes. And I think there were 6 writers, 6 or 7.
Well, I mean, that's exactly that would fit this number. 7 to 12, minimum 5, 3.
Thought minimum 5, but they didn't run with the minimum, I guess.
I see.
Let's see. Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of other small things in the provisions here, and like this is kind of like a cheat sheet of everything. There's actually a huge document that goes deeply into it, but that's essentially most of the details about that. So what's up with the SAG-AFTRA strike now? So now the actors, the writers got a deal.
Right.
What's up with the actors? Nationally, actors' median pay last year. This shocked me. This number, frankly, shocked me. The actors' median pay last year was about $18 an hour. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That means that half of all actors earned less than $18, and the other half earned more an hour.
Really?
Can you imagine earning less than $18 an hour?
Yes, I can't imagine that. Oh, no, as an actor, though.
No, as an actor, you don't think of actors as they're earning that little money. Apparently, 87% of actors don't meet the minimum threshold to get health insurance, which is only $26,470 per year. 87% of all actors with SAG cards don't make $26,470 per year.
Jeez.
Okay. I was listening actually to Michelle Hurd and John Billingsley talk on the Shuttlepod show, and she was saying that she can guest star on 4 shows in a year, 4 different television shows that people love to watch, and not earn the minimum income to qualify for health insurance.
Wow.
Under the current rules.
I mean, no disrespect intended, but other actors can make that entire amount on one guest spot. So
right. So 1 to 2%. 1 to 2% of the actors make up like 99% of all the money.
Orlando Jones made $100,000 for 1 episode of House MD, whatever that, the show with the.
Right.
He did 1 guest spot on that show and made $100,000. I remember him bragging to me.
So you make an excellent point. So here we go. Actor Mark Pruksch recently told The Wrap that he makes more in residuals from his guest star roles in 19 episodes of The Office, which ended in 2013, than he does after 4 seasons as a leading cast member for FX's What We Do in the Shadows. He makes more money, and he was in bit parts. He was Dwight's like weird helper that would like do little things for him.
What's his name? Adam Proge?
It's Mark Pruksch.
Oh, Mark Pruksch.
And he made more. He's making more money from those episodes, and those were on legacy TV. So, and the deals that were made there. Now he's here on streaming, and to me, like that's the smoking gun and proof that actors are getting screwed by the streaming model.
He makes more money on residuals than he does on the show that he is a star of.
Right, that he was maybe in a scene or 2.
He's one of the main characters.
Yes.
Out of 1, 2, 3, he's one of the 4 main characters of that show. That's crazy. That show is awesome, by the way.
It shocked me.
And he is so good in it too, man.
Well, so I mean, is that reasonable? Is it even remotely reasonable that he makes less money doing that than he did, guest starring, not even guest starring, like guest background actor barely.
He was barely. Yeah, I didn't even know that was the same person.
He got paid to like throw a bat at Wasp or something like
But
that.
that's crazy. He was in it so little that I didn't know that he was. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I think his deadpan humor is like
He's hilarious.
Is perfect. He is one of those. He is one of those people that just him talking. Like if he just sat here and read a telephone book, I would laugh. He's funny just being himself. I didn't even realize that was the same person. He was on that show so little.
Yeah.
He is in this show so much. I'm a fan. How can, after 6 seasons, that makes no sense. That means that The Office is making such buku money.
Right. So there's 2 main points for the actors' disagreement. So according to SAG-AFTRA, the actors are asking studios for higher pay and to tighten regulation on the use of artificial intelligence in creative projects. So in terms of pay, actors want an 11% raise to the baseline rate this year and an 8% raise over the next 2 years. And that's to make up for the blistering inflation over the last 2 years, which, by the way, if any of you guys didn't know, is up nearly 20%. Inflation is up nearly 20% of purchase of real goods since 2020. Okay, everything's 20% more than it was during COVID. The studios have countered with an offer of 5% this year and 7.5% over the next 2 years. So they did come back to them, but it wasn't enough. They're too far apart. Actors, they want to earn a stable living. The ad-supported model of network TV used to take care of everyone, providing residuals to them to get them through their next project. Streaming residuals pay a lot less, and the studios are not being transparent about views, as we talked about previously. As a result, the actors get an upfront deal on the estimate of views, but the number never benefits the actors. This is what they're saying. Like they come up and say, well, this is what we think is going to happen, and here's your percentage based on what we think you're going to get. But then no one can ever prove what the views were. So this, hopefully, if they get a deal like the writers, then they'll get some sort of transparency too, so that they can see how much the view, so that SAG-AFTRA can see how much views shows are getting. Yeah, the studios are shorting labor as a hedge against whether or not streaming or subscriber services will or won't work. That's what they're telling them. Like, look, we don't know if this is going to work, so we're not going to pay you. And they keep saying, but listen, we're going to take care of you. Just hold on. The problem is they never end up taking care of them.
Right.
It's never happens. What I think is going to happen is I think there's going to end up being a compromise. Now that the writer's strike is done, I think they'll come back and offer, because they want everybody to get back to business. And they can wait a little while. There's still going to be a lag. Like October, November, December is still going to be like a lag. Like we're going to feel like there's not a lot of new stuff to watch over the next few months. But the plan is for the studios to like get working hard like right now.
That's not true. There's going to be something to watch right here on the Podcast Unleashed.
Okay, that's good.
And on the Podcast Prime.
Yeah, no, you'll have stuff on YouTube to watch. I mean, that's my favorite place to watch. And Apple TV. I cannot wait for Silo to get back out there making stuff.
Apple TV.
Love an Apple TV. So what I think is, what I think is going to happen is I think they want 11%. I think that they're going to accept 9%. I think that'll probably be where they're at. They'll accept 9% increase this year, and then they'll continue with that 7.5% increase over the next 2 years. I mean, it's only 16.5%, still under like the 20%. That inflation is currently up right now, but I think they would accept that to go back to work, especially since the writer's strike is over. Sure. Artificial intelligence is the other sticking point in the talks. The actors want strong protections against their likeness being used to train artificial intelligence and reassurance that they won't be replaced by AI. This is something SAG-AFTRA's head has called an existential threat. And it's a real concern when you consider, just look what AI did with the young Harrison Ford in the most recent Indiana Jones movie. I mean, that's leaps and bounds above other de-aging and AI work that's been done.
Right. We got a super chat from Adam Leader on streamlabs.com/thepopcast.
Thank you, Adam.
He just said, getting the ball rolling. Thank you, Adam Leader.
Oh, look, Adam. And Adam is the stream.
And Adam leading the way. Nice work, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you. And Adam's the stream leader right now. If you guys want to knock him down, then every time you donate to Streamlabs, that'll take away from Adam's score. Thank you, Adam.
Okay. Yeah, this whole thing with also like the residuals and all that. I hope that some of that information, and I'm sure it will, starts to leak. Like when they're going, obviously the writers are going to know the numbers so they can get paid properly, but also to negotiate. And they're going to be leaking some of that when they're in interviews or whatever. Like there's going to be definitely some drama around leaking the numbers when they talk. I believe that.
I think you're right. And I also think that one of the other reasons why I think that the studio is going to end up making a deal is they keep coming out with these movies, but guess what's not happening? There's no marketing. So you don't have the actors going out talking up the movies. And it actually is impacting people going to see them. You can see it at the box office. There's been a huge slump, as we're going to talk about a little later, the box office roundup. But that might be another reason why. And listen, movies haven't recovered since COVID. The theater has not recovered. We don't have nearly as many movies being produced as we did pre-COVID. And I think there was a lot of stress being put on, like, look, the movie industry, sure, streaming services can survive without a deal, but I don't know if the movie industry could.
Right. We just got a super chat from Kyle Proch. Am I saying his name right?
Kyle?
Am I saying it wrong? Proch.
Kyle Proch. And he just like knocked out.
Yeah,
quickly.
he just absolutely decimated leader. But that's not. This is what he said. He said, "What's that?"
You don't have to take that, Adam. You don't have to take that.
He said, "Don't know if you guys went into this already, just joining, but how close are you guys to being able to reapply for monetization?"
Oh, great question, Kyle. And thank you for the donation.
So that's a great question. Right now, in our back end, the little button that you click to reapply is grayed out. And the multi-billion-dollar company that is Google, that owns YouTube, when you put your mouse over it, it says, check your email for when you can reapply.
Oh, my God.
It can't just tell you when. But based on when we got demonetized and what they said at the time, I would assume that we can reapply in the next 15 days. But we can't do it until that little button becomes not gray.
No guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, like they said that back in the day.
It's like by October 12th, I believe, was the original date. But I don't know if that's real or not. We don't know. It could be 12th. It could be 21st. I'm assuming sometime in October that little button is going to go from gray to green or whatever, and we'll be able to click it.
Well, we do have an appointment with our YouTube helper in the Philippines.
Oh, yay!
And so I figure we should just meet with them and say, look, can you send a message to somebody so we can get remonetized? He'll probably look at us like we're crazy, but we can ask the question. We also got another super chat here from No Money G. Thank you so much in the member section. Been watching Stargate SG-1, and the amount of story in each episode seems unobtainable in shows on TV today. In other words, how tight the writing is and leaving the rest to your imagination. I think you make a really good point there, No Money G, and thank you so much for the donation. I remember when I watched Stargate SG-1, and I watched it late, came to the party late because Brian was like, you need to watch it. And I had missed it when I was in the military.
Yeah.
I tell you, they were so on top of their writing room was so good. They really, really knew what they were doing. They knew how to write for Richard Dean Anderson. I agree. Completely tight. Good story. What do you think, Brian?
No, I completely agree. They knew how to write for the individual, like the characters that they were developing. Now, Richard D. Anderson is Richard D. Anderson. That's like his whole thing. But the other characters weren't playing versions of themselves. They were playing established characters that had chemistry over time. The writers weren't the same the entire time. So I love how writers were almost trained from season to season, and they it's clear that a lot of the writers on this show were fans of the show, even by the time they got to, season 8, or whatever. Like, they were fans of the show they were writing. And I like that they kept evolving the characters. Like, Daniel Jackson goes from, like, being this timid scientist with allergies and, doesn't really belong in the field, to being, like, a gun-wielding superhero that's died 14 times. But it actually works because you had 22 episodes and 8 seasons to get there. It's okay for that transformation. It's not like it was, instantaneous. And the writers, that's still one of my favorite shows of all time, is SG-1, and Atlantis is a close second. I didn't like Universe so much. I know there's people that do. I just couldn't get on board. Wasn't the style I was looking for. I thought none of the characters were really very likable, to be honest.
Yeah, and I like how No Money G says here, leaving the rest to your imagination. I mean, when you look at how much special effects they had back then, it was limited. You had to use imagination in order to tell the story. Nowadays, when you got like the Star Trek Discovery and some of these other shows, they're going to spend the money to do it. But back then SG-1 was on a budget, and even though it made money, there was limited how much special effects they could do.
Right, that's true. And I like, what? If you ever watch Stranger Things, I know a lot of people like that show. I'm not like a massive fan, but I do like something that they do. Like in the first season, you don't really see the monster. You just about the monster, but the fear of the monster really comes from your own imagination's version of what it could be, because they don't really show it. And that's great, because a lot of the times it's disappointing when they finally show like the monster in a horror movie or whatever, and it's like, oh, look at that cheesy piece of garbage.
Right, especially if they can't do good, if it
right,
can't be done well, right?
It is better almost for your imagination to fill the blanks in and you not see the whole thing. Now, it's funny is that the movie Alien did both things. Yeah. It showed you the little dots and it built that anticipation. And then when you did finally actually see it, it was the scariest thing ever. Right? It was horrifying. Oh my
God, it's a spider.
It was horrifying when it opened its mouth, but then when another little one came out, you're like, what? No, yeah. Alien is one of those movies where like they did the horror elements so perfectly, because they gave you every aspect of fear, from like the anticipation scare to the jump scare to the physical just nature of the alien. It was perfection, but not everyone can have that kind of a production value. So if you can't, then you gotta work around our imagination. SG-1 did that a lot.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg, when he did Jaws, they got this mechanical shark which they planned to use, and it just didn't work out, and so he had to go to those Alfred Hitchcock type of suspenseful scenarios where it's the music, it's the fin. You didn't get to see the shark, and it ended up playing way better than if we had seen that mechanical shark the whole time.
Yeah, so true. And the mechanical shark, by the time you finally did see it and it was operating, like your mind had already filled all the blanks in, and to you, that was a real shark.
Absolutely. It was terrifying. 100%. Never going in the water again. So now that the writers portion of the strike is over, what does this mean for upcoming projects? So I'd like to move on to that, Brian. There's a Variety article that we can pop up if you want to here. And they talk about some really good stuff. So from Star Trek to Superman Legacy to Abbott Elementary to Wednesday, every studio, network, and streamer has priority film and TV projects, and they really hope to fast track back into development or production. Audiences can't survive on reruns alone. We're finding out now, like, we've kind of watched everything we want to watch. I haven't. I mean, there's still things I could watch. I'm still watching, Voyager season 7. So I'm fine. But a lot of people are already getting tired of the reruns. And so what do we have coming? What is going to happen now? Several big movie projects could see pre-production resume quickly. Paramount is hoping to have writers fine-tune scripts for its planned reboot of Star Trek. We're going to talk about that inside the Warp Factor News.
Warp Factor News.
There's also an adaptation of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six.
Which one am I pulling up?
The Variety Hollywood Gets.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Stranger Things, see, I don't really like Stranger Things the way other people do.
Yeah,
People really like that show, and I'm like, it's all right.
It's more of a young adult kid kind of thing.
I don't know, man. My roommate, who is like 25 and single, thinks it's
she's a young adult. 25.
I guess you're right. But she adores that show. Like, adores it.
I mean, when did it come out? How old was she?
I don't know.
When did Stranger Things came out? What, 2016, 17?
I don't know.
Anyways, so it came out when she was
an answer.
Well, it came out when she was a teenager. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, all right, maybe.
So yeah, and my 14-year-old loves it. So it's his favorite show.
It's weird. Like, they weren't even around in the 80s to appreciate it.
It's not, well, that first season has a nice 80s feel to it, but it progresses from there pretty quickly.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah. So you've got Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Warner Brothers, we would love to see Matt Reeves hunched over his computer, diving back into Gotham's underworld with his planned The Batman sequel. I know.
I would not like that. I hate that movie so much.
Right.
But I hate it so much. Okay, so can someone in the chat, please tell me this. When you watch The Batman, and then maybe it's me, maybe I need glasses. Because if you watch The Batman in theaters, tell me honestly, could you see everything happening on screen?
It was dark.
Or was it so dark you couldn't even make out people's faces properly? Additionally, I'm sorry, but it's also slow. It's extremely slow. Maybe Pattinson can act. That's cool. That's fine. That's cool. Whatever. But I didn't buy him. 90% of the time he was Batman, I didn't buy it. It just fell flat. He didn't have any of the gravitas that other Batmans have had over the years.
Is that Batmans or Batmen?
Batman? I don't even know what is the plural of Batman? Like, Batmen. Whatever. He didn't have it. And he just felt like, honestly, bro, he feels like a better version of Timothy Chalamet at this point. Like, he's just sort of like, I'm sparkling. And I know I'm going back to the old well of making fun of him because it's Twilight. Look, I get it. People like him, and that's cool. And I'm not gonna knock it. I'm sure he's a good actor. But he's so reserved. And
well, the reason why Warner Brothers wants to see Matt Reeves hunched back over his computer is because it made a lot of money. That's it.
I feel like any Batman will make a lot of money.
Probably. Yeah, probably. People want to see Batman, man.
The Batman.
Other projects such as Minecraft. If you didn't know, there's a Minecraft movie project coming.
Can't wait to watch that.
And James Gunn's Superman Legacy, which I know we are waiting with bated breath for. That's it has a completed, both of these movies.
I would literally sell an appendage on the black market to watch that movie.
All right.
Except for my penis, not that appendage. Any other appendage.
Thank you for being clear. These have completed scripts and can begin production in the spring, assuming there's a deal with the actors, of course. Universal is hoping that the resolution of the writer's strike will mean that the studio can get a new draft of Fast X Part 2.
Why do you need a second draft?
Because the first draft was terrible.
No. Listen. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay. First off, Fast X Part 2, aka Fast and the Furious 11.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid to call a movie Fast X Part 2. You're basically saying it's Fast and the Furious 10 Part 2. Yeah. Just say Fast and the Furious 11.
Fast and the Furious 11.
Or Fast 11. But like, they like the you know why they called it Fast X Part 2? They like the X.
I know. It's just like Elon Musk. They're in love with
it. It's because Vin Diesel is stuck in like the late 90s where X's are cool. So
as many of us are.
look, I was there. Look, my handle is Bex for a reason. I liked X's, but I'm not going to go around and make all everything I do about X's now. I understand it's cringy. So they're calling it Fast X Part 2. Number one, that's cringy right there. You could have just called it Fast 11.
Right.
So right away, just the title alone is hyper cringe again. But then additionally, you need a second draft for Fast X Part 2, which means that, hold up, Vin Diesel got a first draft.
Yep.
Looked at it and said, this isn't good enough.
And
handed it back.
Or the studio looked at it and said, no, we're not going to.
No, guys, I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to give Dom superpowers this movie.
Yeah, we're not going to blow up Mount Rushmore, and throw it into outer space or something. Whatever.
It's so hilarious that I don't think any Fast movie at this point, they don't require second drafts. You can just roll with whatever the first draft is. The movie is like 90% stunts and 3% dialogue and whatever else you fill in there for cinematography.
And essentially whatever Jason Momoa wants to say, apparently, because he's just can do whatever he wants.
Well, and you know what's the funny thing is I finally saw like the making of Fast X.
Oh God.
It was so I bought Fast X. Okay. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'll make fun of this all day long, but I am such a Fast simp. It's crazy. I love all the Fast movies. I love how stupid and ridiculous they are. My kid loves them. I have sat there and I bonded with my 12-year-old daughter over Fast and Furious. We sit there and we watched all the movies twice. We laugh. We think it's cool. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm so happy this franchise exists. But I realize how stupid and cringy it is. And we were watching the making of Fast X. And dude, Jason Momoa literally was off script about 60% of the time.
It seemed like it.
He had the cast laughing. He was just doing whatever he wanted. Bro, and he brags about it. And then the cat's like, oh, he's so great. We're just going to let him do whatever he wants to do. You're like, guys, actor, and I love Jason Momoa. Guys, I'm a Jason Momoa simp, okay? You understand? I've loved Jason. If you've been on this channel for a long time, the joke is I would leave my wife for Jason Momoa if he asked for it. Jason Momoa is awesome. I've liked him ever since Atlantis. But dude, I'm talking about Stargate Atlantis, not Aquaman. But dude, here's the deal. There's a reason why actors are not writers.
Well, some of them are, but mostly
some of them may. Jason Momoa is not a writer. He shouldn't have been just ad-libbing his lines on $1 billion franchise.
Awesome.
Someone's got to be like, look, okay, do your take, and then we'll do the correct take. And there's a way to wrangle in actors. Like you go, okay, all right, cool, that's a good ad-lib. Okay, now do what's on the script. And then the director, when he's sitting in the editing bay, can choose if he wants to use ad-lib lines or not. But bro, they weren't even having him do the script part. Like, nah, that's perfect. Just go with that.
And that's why his character comes across as like a Naked Gun villain, or maybe like Austin Powers or something like that. The villain was ridiculous.
It was so funny though when he was talking to the two dead guys. I found it hilarious.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like that seemed like almost like a spoof.
Yeah, there were so many problems with that. Like, here's when he goes to see Dom in, what is it, like Brazil or something, and he has all of his cronies there, and he's wearing like a pacifier in his hair and shit. Like, I don't know he looks so ridiculous. He looks like a raver from like the movie Go in 1999. And they all put the guns, and he's like, "This is Brazil," and they all put their guns. They challenge him to a race because it's good. It's Fast and Furious. You have to have a race, right? And he's like, "Then we'll handle it on the track." Yes, we will, Dom. And you're like, if you really want to kill Dom, like if you don't care about yourself, he's right there, and you have a gun pointing at his chest. You don't need to erase him, dude. You just need to pull the trigger.
I was waiting for a dance off, bro.
Bro,
Seriously.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, it was like,
are they gonna start break
yeah,
dancing?
is it gonna be like set it off
Yeah.
part 4? Boom, boom, boom. Dude, they should have started breakdancing. Imagine Dom was stupid. And it's funny because Vin Diesel can't dance. You would like pull back and you would see that it's clearly a stunt double in a white tank top.
right.
Oh my god.
So if you're looking forward to Fast and Furious X Part 2, like Brian, you can expect
wait.
to roll into theaters in April 2025.
I just think it's hilarious that they need a second script. That to me, that is like you don't need a second. You didn't need a first script. You could have just had all the actors just randomly do whatever they want and fill it in with graphics, and you could just call it a fax, and still gonna make $1 billion. I understand it. I understand they're bad movies. I don't care. I like them. I love them.
Very cool. Some other sequels, some other stuff that's getting ready to come up is a major movie, the sequel to Gladiator, which was more than halfway done filming when cameras stopped rolling in Malta in July, as the actor started picketing. You've got Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. So that still has some scenes to shoot, as well as Beetlejuice 2, Clint Eastwood's Juror number 2, and of course Deadpool 3, which in some cases had only a few days of work remaining. You've also got the stalled movie Twisters, which is a sequel to the 1996 tornado thriller starring Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar
We did
Jones.
not need a sequel to Twister. Guys,
Hey, listen, I love Twister.
No, it's a good movie, Shane. But you can't do that twice and just call and now it's just plural Twisters.
Well, there's more than one Twister. I mean, there was more than one Twister in the movie too. I agree. It's silly.
It's super dumb. Like we don't need that.
It's probably going to be terrible, but I'm very curious as to what they can do now that when you think about it, 1996 is when they made the movie. Like, what should they be able to do with CGI?
I mean, but you don't understand. Like they've been making realistic tornadoes since like the 80s. Like
I get it, but even better. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, of course we don't have Bill Paxton, who was the star of that movie. So we'll see how that goes down. But that project was roughly a week into production in Oklahoma before it shut down.
Beetlejuice 2, I'll take that every day.
Yeah, Beetlejuice 2.
As long as my boy comes back.
And there is a little bit of pushback. I heard that Michael was not interested in working with Timothy Burton again.
Well, why?
So, I don't know. I vaguely saw something about it. I'll look into it. Maybe we can talk about it.
I feel like Timothy Burton would be one of those guys. Okay. So here's a question. Not trying to go off on a tangent, but does everyone have a friend that you're like, he's my friend, but like he's like weird enough for you not to really want to spend too much time with him, but not so weird that you don't want to like write him off. But he is like just weird enough for you not to really want to deal with him all the time, and you got to be in the mood to deal with that one friend. It's got to be like a perfect set of a perfect day where your brain is sort of in tune with having to deal with this sort of weird individual. I have a friend like that. I love them to death, but like when they call, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it right now. I can't do it. Can't do it. You know what friend that is.
Do you think Timothy Chalamet like looks at Tim Burton and says, "God damn, that's what I'm gonna look like when I get older"?
What?
Yeah.
Are they related?
Like a younger version? No, they're not. But he looks like a younger version of him.
Yeah, but like I feel like Tim Burton has got to be one of those guys because he's such a weird guy. Mm-hmm. Where everyone's like, "Yeah, it was great working with him. I don't want to do it again."
Maybe. I mean, he's worked over and over again with the same people. So I mean, Johnny Depp. But look, it's Johnny Depp.
But Johnny Depp is also weird. What if their weirds match? You know what I mean? Like their weirds are they work together. Meanwhile, normal Mike Keaton's over here like, no, I can't.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I'm too old for this shit.
Possibly. As soon as the actors endorse a deal, broadcast shows such as ABC's Grey's Anatomy and Abbott Elementary, Fox's 911, Lone Star, and Dick Wolf's Law and Order, Chicago, and FBI franchises are among the top priority projects to begin shooting. I didn't see any Apple TV stuff in there, but I fully expect to see Apple TV stuff shooting. So it's going to be a rough couple of months as the writers return to work and we get this actors thing wrapped up, but it should be interesting.
Yeah, man. All right, we got a super chat from Chris M. Thank you, Chris M. And Chris M says, and let me just put it in here so you can see it. Chris M says, Shane wants Twister 2. I bet he also wants Forrest Gump 2.
Wait, I would take it. I would take a Forrest. I mean, look what's happened since Forrest Gump came out. How many things could Forrest Gump be a part of now? Like he could literally be in like 9/11, right? He could. I mean, when did it come out in the 90s? So I mean, look at how many things Forrest Gump could participate in. How many presidents he could meet going forward. Sure. Why the heck not?
No.
I mean, Bubba Gump. The shrimping business has been great. So I don't know. Well, we got to see how Forrest's son is doing now that he's grown up. There are some other things that you guys are probably excited about. House of the Dragon. You can bet that they're targeting a summer 2024 premiere for season 2. You can bet there's a season 3 happening. We also have production of new episodes of White Lotus, Euphoria, and The Last of Us, which is will be worked on in 2024 as well. Netflix, they've got Wednesday, and of course, as you mentioned earlier, the 5th and final season of Stranger Things. They're going to end it after 5. So they're working on TV budgets and all kinds of good stuff, but that's kind of what we can see coming soon. What do you think, Brian? What are you looking forward to most?
Christopher Mays says, no, Shane. Bad Shane.
What? Oh, Forrest Gump 2? Look, honestly, I'll watch anything Robert Zemeckis makes, period. As long as Robert Zemeckis is making it, break it down.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. So about the Law and Order and all that stuff, I gotta be honest, I'm so over these network shows. Like I know like their top franchises like Chicago, Lone Star, whatever, like these like sort of cut and paste, shows that are really all sort of the same, but they take place at different 3 agency government,
Okay, right.
whatever. I was into it for a second when Tom Constantino was working on one of the shows.
911, yeah.
And, I was into it for a second, but when I realized that like every episode and every season was just sort of the same thing.
Yeah, it's like a rehash kind
and
of.
it's pretty much the same exact thing with every one of the FBI franchises. Like even the Rookie FBI, like the Rookie is a great show, except for the Rookie FBI is basically the same show, but with a older black woman. It's the same thing, and you can't just like superimpose the same scripts with different characters and call it, the FBI, the CIA, Law and Order, Chicago 911, LA 911,
NCIS, CSI,
Chicago Fire, Chicago Ice, or whatever. I don't think. Okay, we get it. Okay, like
so what are you looking forward to?
They recycle scripts with just different cities in different,
different types of.
It's dumb.
That's people like dramas, man. I don't know why, but they do.
I'm looking forward to Yellowstone, not for myself,
Really?
but because it distracts my wife.
That sounds selfish. Come up with something that you were looking forward to.
I
already said Silo season 2 for me.
Yeah, look, like I tried to watch Euphoria, guys. Everyone just seems like everyone's on drugs that entire thing, and they're just
It's called Euphoria.
It's like, let's make out and like be stupid. I can't take it. It's so stupid, and I don't like. Everyone likes that woman that played MJ and whatever her name is. I'm always forgetting. She was in Dune. She played MJ in Spider-Man.
Oh, Zendaya.
I don't like Zendaya. I don't like anyone that doesn't have a last name. Period. The end. If you only have one name, I don't like you.
You don't like Cher?
I don't like anyone who doesn't have a last name. I think that you're probably entitled. I watched The White Lotus. I don't know what the hype is. It's not a good show. It's boring. It's boring, And yes, I guess there's nudity. I guess if that's what you're looking for, and a couple of the chicks are sort of hot, and like is that the whole poll? Like, it's not a good show. I don't know why everyone likes it. The Last of Us, there was very good episodes in that, but also very disappointing. So I guess I'd sort of looking to season 2 of episode of Last of Us, but not if I'm gonna get the same thing. I don't want to get the same disappointment where I get built up and then you just like leave me with blue balls. So maybe House of the Dragon 2? Maybe. Okay.
I am looking forward to that one.
I guess that's like the one like I liked House of the Dragon. I like that. I like that show.
Yeah.
But pretty much everything else is just sort of garbage. And I know people like these things, but that doesn't mean they're good. You know what? Wednesday season 2.
Okay.
I loved Wednesday. That was a great show.
Okay, so we got some things. That's awesome. And you let us know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to coming back, and we'll definitely talk about it with you guys. We can also talk about it in the member section afterwards too. But for now, we need to go to a segment that is not new, but has a new visual aspect to it.
Oh,
yes.
It's time for Warp Factor News.
WFN. Warp Factor News. Does it have music? I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Let's it does. Let me I think it wasn't on though.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't think it was on. Hold up. Here we go. Let's try this one more time, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, first I need to get this. There we go. All right, here we go. War Factor News.
Do you have like a warp sound?
I need to put a warp sound at the end.
I was gonna say, like, do you have like a go to warp sound? And
you know what? At the end, I'm gonna go.
Okay, good. Yeah, that'd be great. So somebody mentioned Terry Trek, and here's the reason why we don't have Terry Trek, because he's basically sitting around in his underwear drinking tequila. So there's really nothing to talk about with Terry Trek.
Yeah, Terry's like, there's a writer's strike. Awesome. I'm just gonna sit back and take a vacation while you guys figure out how to get me more money in that writer's room.
And listen, if they're stupid, which they are, then they won't bring him back. But maybe they will, and we'll get Star Trek Legacy, and of course we'll have Terry Trek back again.
Maybe they will.
I mean, maybe. Someone did ask us in Discord what we thought were the chances, since we are talking about Star Trek now. What are the chances that Star Trek Legacy, are we still as hopeful as we were before the strike? Now that the strike is ending, where are we sitting at with it? And what I said in Discord was that I'm a little bit less optimistic about Star Trek Legacy, but not because of the strike, but because of the success of Strange New Worlds.
Right.
The success of Strange New Worlds, I believe, is going to give the studio a sense of confidence in this new Trek. Now, even though the studio did tell Alex Kurtzman, and I love this, told Alex, listen, knock that shit off with Discovery. Okay. Enough of the mental, emotional distress. And let's get back to some action, bud.
Make it more like Indiana Jones.
Make it more like Indiana Jones, but like Indiana Jones 3, not Indiana Jones 5.
When he said it was like Indiana Jones, I was like, why can't it just be like Star Trek?
Just be
like Star Trek is
because they didn't watch Star Trek.
It's a storied franchise that has gone on way longer than Indiana Jones. That's like a new episode of Stargate, and you're like, it's just like Stranger Things. You're like, why? Why is it? I'm not saying Stranger Things is bad, but like, why is it like that when it's a way more respected franchise? By the way, we got a super chat from Drew D. He says, "I guarantee you, Twister's gonna be about climate change."
Oh shit, Drew, God, you're right, man. I don't want to see it now.
Yeah, you know what? I just realized. You are so spot on. That's 100% going to be the case.
And we have twisters because of climate change.
Right.
Okay.
Directed by Roland Emmerich. Twisters. And like there's giant twisters ripping the earth apart.
Can I be honest with you?
And the moon is like huge and like on the horizon. You're like, how do we survive this?
Well, what's sad is you'd have terrible actors in it, but the story might be pretty good.
Starring
Wait,
Timothy Chalamet.
No, he's in everything. No, that would be considered a good casting.
Oh, it's got to be.
It would have to be
starring Will Sasso.
Yes, exactly. Or like Paul Dano, right?
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore as a has-been scientist.
Will this weird scientist figure out a way to solve climate change and stop the twisters?
Oh God!
And like randomly, there's gonna be like some like older woman that everyone found ridiculously hot 20 years ago. She will always be in it at some point, and she has a kid. There's always a kid.
As a kid, right? Yeah.
It's like every one of Roland Emmerich's movies has like.
Oh, it's gonna be Jennifer Aniston. Is that what you're saying?
It'll be Jennifer Aniston, and the kid will be like subtly, like you don't know exactly what the race the father is. It'll be one of those things.
Black kid, 100%.
Oh, 100%. It'll be a black kid. She'll be like, "This is my. We might not be related, but I'm still your mother." It'll be one of those things.
Okay, we got to stop going down.
All right, I can't. It's too.
Where
much.
were we? What the heck were we talking about?
Warp Factor News. Drew, you really know how to derail.
Oh, that was great. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Okay, so
we were talking about Star Trek, but then super chat totally derailed the concept.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Also, let's got a super chat from Kenneth LaRoque in the member section. Member for 29 months. Another milestone. Thank you, Kenneth. Long time supporter. Thank you.
Where do you see that super chat? I don't see that.
It's in the member section. It's before No Money Jr.
Oh, I see it. Yes. Another milestone. Yeah. Kenneth has been a member for, like ever.
Years.
Yeah, for years and years. Yeah.
All right. So what the first part of Warp Factor News was actually an interesting surprise. I guess if you're going to have some Terry Trek or, the weekly Terry, I guess this actually might be it.
The weekly Terry.
The weekly Terry, because Patrick Stewart is in Time magazine.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I saw that because of his new book. And he wants to set the record straight. Okay. Picard season 3 was supposed to end differently than it did. Okay. And he actually outlines it very nicely here. He actually goes through in this Time article and he talks about the whole story about how he ended up doing the project. Never before did I know this, but as Michael Chabon, we have given him incredible trouble because his Star Trek is garbage. He's an award-winning writer, and he is the reason that we find out in this interview, in this article, we find out that Patrick Stewart actually, that was the thing that piqued his interest. He liked Michael Chabon's book. And so that piqued his interest. And so without Michael Chabon, we got no Picard season 3, essentially. But he does go on to talk about this interesting thing, and I kind of want to break it down a little bit. He says here, for season 3, our last, Terry Matalas, by then Picard's showrunner, told me that the studio wanted a full Next Generation reunion. Ugh. Just what I had firmly said I didn't want. I love how he's friends with all these people, like close friends, like brothers and sisters friends with the TNG cast. And sometimes the shit I read that he says is like, if I was like, he's so pretentious. Yeah,
he really is. He's earned some of it, but
no, that's why the lush Troy doesn't like him.
She does like him though.
Right.
They love each other, dude.
In a weird, maybe in like a weird, like, I don't know, like maybe.
She's pissed at everybody, dude.
She really gave it to old Patrick Stewart, though.
Yeah, she did. Well, yeah. Well, she's keeping it real, and she is the other Brit in the crew.
I always forget she's British.
Anyway, yeah. So he didn't want that. So, just what I had firmly said I didn't want, but that had been 3 years ago. Now I was less resistant. Having enjoyed working with Jonathan, Brent, Marina, John, and Whoopi, as an executive producer, I had a say in how we might go about achieving such a reunion. I told Terry, I like the idea, provided that we don't bring them all back at once. Let's trickle them back in. Now, that is something that Terry ended up using. And I don't know if it was really Patrick Stewart's idea or if he's just taking credit for it.
I think he's just taking credit for it. I think Terry went to Patrick Stewart's house with a bottle of wine, got him drunk, made him agree to it. And then when they showed up the next day in the writer's room, Patrick Stewart was like, "Oh, I said that. Okay, let's do it."
I will let you're probably right. I will let the cat out of the bag though. Whenever Terry says the studio wants something, that's Terry, using the studio as a cudgel, as a weapon. Yeah, he does. He's very effective at using the studio as a weapon. And kudos to him for getting what he wants. But it was Terry Matalas who wanted the reunion,
right?
And as well as he actually talked with I just totally drew a blank.
Jonathan Frakes.
Name Jonathan Frakes. He actually talked to Jonathan Frakes about it first, and they both loved the idea. And of course, I'm sure he went to the studio before going to Patrick to make sure it was okay. And the studio always wanted a TNG reunion because the studio knows that's going to make more money.
That's what they wanted in the first season.
They did. He just didn't want to do it.
They're like, why couldn't we just do TNG part season 9, bro?
Yeah. It was essential to me that each TNG character came into the picture because he or she had a specific contribution to make, and it wasn't just sentimental window dressing. And it wasn't. The season absolutely wasn't. If Jean-Luc had changed so much over the years, so too surely had the other members of the Enterprise crew. The writers, bless them, took this to heart. The final season's premiere episode. That's interesting. The final season's premiere episode, written by Terry, Akiva, and Michael Chabon. I didn't know he wrote the first episode. Found Picard in a relaxed state of post-Starfleet life, proclaiming to his Romulan minder, Laris, played by the fine Irish actress Orla Brady, which she is a good-looking lady. I'm going to sip.
She's a fine-looking woman.
I'm going to sip Saurian brandy and think about writing my memoir. And he said he could relate to that. The one thing we learned from this article that I thought was interesting is that Patrick Stewart did not, under any circumstance, want to get back in the uniform. If you recall, during TNG, he was always pulling the damn thing down. Do you remember that?
Right.
During the show? That's because it was fucking uncomfortable. He hated being in the Starfleet uniform. And one of his big things was he was not going to do it. And if you notice, during Picard season 3, he is wearing some sort of Starfleet uniform, but it's like civilian clothes, like in the same shades and colors as Starfleet.
Right.
But it's not an actual uniform.
Yeah, it's like a jacket with like the pin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan Frakes got away with not having to wear that crap either.
Yeah. Basically Terry's like, look, we need you back in uniform. And so this was the compromise that they came up with. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. So he talks about
a lot of people were mad that they didn't make it clear that he was back with Beverly. I remember some of like the really hardcore shippers out there that are also friends of ours were like, "Can you ask Terry if they got back together?" And we're like, "It's on screen. He's with her at the end." He goes, "Yeah, but are they married?" And like, I think that Terry wanted to leave that up to the audience.
Yes, he did, and it's smartly so, because there's books that are going to be written. There could be more Star Trek still to come. Right. He didn't want to be the guy who decided where that was, because I think ultimately you're going to make half of the people unhappy anyways. Some people are like, okay, settle down with Beverly, maybe that's okay, and the other people are going to love it. So the third season, he said, comes off magnificently, but its final scene, in which the reunited crew is gathered around a table with drinks, sharing a toast, is not how it was originally supposed to end. I had a different idea, which I brought to the writers a few months before we wrapped the series. What I'd like to see at the end of the show, I told them, is a content Jean-Luc. I want to see Picard perfectly at ease with his situation, not anxious, not in a frenzy, not depressed. And I think this means that there is a wife in the picture. Okay. You see, the line between Jean-Luc and me has grown even more blurred. If I have found true love, shouldn't he? I guess Patrick Stewart's found true love. Very cool. The writers came up with a lovely scene. It is dusk at Jean-Luc's vineyard. He's back. His back is to us as he takes in the view, his dog at his side. Remember the dog from the first season?
He loves that dog.
Loves that dog. Then off screen, a woman's loving voice is heard. Jean-Luc, supper's ready. Is it Beverly Crusher's voice? Loris? Someone we don't know? It isn't made clear.
But she's obviously 50 years younger than me and wearing a bikini.
Right. Heeding his wife's call, Jean-Luc turns around, says to his dog, "Come on, boy," and heads inside. Dusk fades to night, and Picard fades into history. That's how he said it was supposed to end. Now here's why it didn't end that way. Here's the rest of his story. But this scene was never shot, and I'm sort of to blame. On our final day of shooting, season 3 was a bear with a very long to-do list. About 8 hours in, I realized we were in for a 14 or even 16-hour day. Brutal. And I was booked to fly to New York the first thing the following morning. So I made a suggestion to the production team. Look, I said, the scene with the dog will take no time to shoot, but it will take hours to set up the lighting and the green screen and all that. We don't have those hours, so let's not shoot that scene today. I can come back at any time you like and take care of it, just me and the dog. The production team was grateful and relieved, and I was assured that we would take care of the final scene upon my return from New York. But I never got a call.
Terry was like, sounds great. Don't call him.
Wait. When I made a few inquiries, okay, he didn't let it go. I kept getting put off. Finally, someone told me the studio doesn't want to do it. It's too expensive, and they think it's unnecessary. Unnecessary? I thought it was crucial to the completion of Picard's arc. But so be it.
The studio doesn't want to do it. The studio.
The TV series ended with a toast, which is a warm, emotional send-off to my favorite Starfleet crew either way. And you know how my original intent was. Yeah, so the way that story really goes down is...
the studio doesn't want to do it, man. I don't know. They said it's too expensive. So we're going to go with the other scene that I already...
I also heard it wasn't Patrick Stewart's idea necessarily not to shoot that scene that day. That it was kind of suggested or pushed that way. We can shoot it later. And he's like, okay, no problem. So it's interesting that he's telling it from the perspective that it was his idea, when the way I heard it, it wasn't exactly.
Yeah, I think that Terry's superpower is making people believe that his ideas are their ideas.
He has a superpower, my friend.
Because he is really good at that.
Do not underestimate the power of Terry Metalis' ability to just guide you in the direction you need to go. This is what makes him a great showrunner.
Hey man, listen. I love the ideas. I love the fact that you want like a younger woman in there. That's cool. I'm sure she's gonna be hot. It's gonna make. But how about this? We do it another time. Right? It's been a long day. No big deal. You gotta get on a plane. Let's just shoot the thing in a couple weeks. No big deal.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good trip. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Patrick. It was a great idea, man. Great idea to shoot another day.
So he walks away from it going, that was my idea, wasn't it? Yeah. Right. So, listen, there's nothing nefarious going on here.
Mr. Metellus, when are we going to shoot that scene? Oh, listen, the studio doesn't want to do it, man.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive.
I mean, listen, why not blame your parents, right? Like, seriously, like if your friend calls up and says, listen, man, let's go smoke weed and drink, a fifth of something. You'd be like, my parents.
Yeah, I don't know, man. My mom and dad said no.
They'll beat me with a stick. So
I think I think what's really funny about this is like Terry is so good at convincing people that it's their idea and sort of guiding them into the right place for a story. But he's also good at staying under the budget. And I bet you one way he does that is by cutting the fat and using the studio as the way to sort of like, not do the stuff that is not ever going to make it.
Brian, guess who's never going to call the studio and ask? Patrick Stewart.
Right. Of course not.
So that's what I'm saying. It is a perfect excuse for anything. Studio. Now, to Terry's credit, I do know that he went back to the studio over and over and over again to try to get as much as he could for the show, and they did deny him on things. But he tried to get as much as he could. But I do think Terry wanted to end it as it should have been ended, not with Patrick Stewart, but with the way it was ended, which was what I would say perfect.
It's a perfect ending. You literally ended it around the poker table, the same as TNG. Like, that's perfect.
Perfect ending.
I'm sorry, it's perfect. There is no other ending than what we were given.
Not Patrick Stewart at home with his wife.
with his much younger wife. It's very ambiguous. We don't know who he's dating. It could be anyone as long as it's hot. And then he's with his dog at dusk. He's like, supper's ready, Picard. He's like, coming there. Come on, dog.
Mademoiselle.
Like, yeah. No.
So I thought you guys would enjoy that. Brian and I we want to make sure you guys got some good. And listen, anytime stuff comes out where we kind of have a little bit of insight into the truth, we will do that.
My bad.
We do have a couple more things here.
Hold on, I need to fix this. There you go. Go ahead.
All right. Nice. So it came out now in this little article we talked about with Variety a minute ago, where it said like the Star Trek 4 movie reboot is what it said. And it's like, whoa, what?
Right.
Listen, there's been rumors of Star Trek 4. I mean, how many writers has it gone through? How many directors has it gone through? 4 now?
Right.
I mean,
no,
go back. We've
like
done all
more
the
than
stories.
More than 4. Yeah, we've done entire videos about it.
We've done it all. And my first thought was when I saw this, I'm like, God dang it, are we gonna have to do another video about this? Right? Luckily, no, because the information is just not good enough. Even though it came from Variety. Here's what it means. So Paramount is supposedly prioritizing a Star Trek movie reboot following the end of the writer's strike.
Starring Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard wants it. Oh, by the way, the end of that Jean-Luc story.
It's a romance about him on a vineyard with his with his much younger wife and dog.
You're gonna laugh because at the end of this Time article, so he says, "So is that it for Jean-Luc Picard?" That's the question they asked him. He said, "Most probably, but never say never. I am gently pushing Paramount to let us do one single Picard movie.
No,
not a next generation movie, as we've already done 4 of those. This would be an expansion and deepening of the universe as we've seen it in Star Trek Picard."
Listen, Patrick Stewart, I was joking. Okay, don't take that serious.
He only wanted to do 3 seasons, but now he wants to do a movie. He says, I've discussed this with Jonathan, Brent, and LeVar, and they are all game. Jonathan is my first choice to direct it.
Yeah, well, of course, Jonathan is game to star and direct in a movie.
Right? Why not?
Listen, guys, no matter what you were planning on doing, if you asked me, hey, you want to come work? Okay, yeah.
You want to make some money? Yeah, I mean, especially since, like he said, nobody's knocking down his door.
Right.
Jonathan Frakes said, after that great Picard season 3, nobody's saying, hey, you want to do something else?
Right.
Okay.
All right, so back to this Star Trek movie reboot.
Yes. It's reportedly a top priority for Paramount now that the WGA strike is over. According to a new report, Star Trek 4 is the 4th film produced by J.J. Abrams. You guys got to remember, it's been mired in development hell for years with several high-profile filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino, Noah Hawley, S.J. Clarkson, and of course Matt Shakeman. Most recently exited the project due to creative differences.
Didn't Max Shaman go to do Ghostbusters or something?
No. Fantastic Four.
That's right. Yeah.
But the creative differences are Paramount wants $1 billion movie, and everybody else is like, yeah, you can't be done. Not with Star Trek.
I mean, it could be done if you slow roll it. If you start slow and you build up the universe the way Marvel, look, Iron Man didn't make $1 billion. In fact, the first 5 Marvel movies didn't make $1 billion.
I don't think enough people like science fiction to make $1 billion.
But you see, in this day and age, I believe that superheroes and science fiction are sort of the same thing. Like you can write them the same way. You can though.
You can write them, but the interest of people to go to the movies and watch it is different. Like everybody loves a superhero. Every dude loves a superhero, right? Even jocks or people who don't like nerdy stuff love superheroes.
Jocks.
Right? Jocks.
Jocks. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're very similar. In fact, if you look at Star Trek Beyond and like any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they're like the same. It's like the same. It's like they're very similar in tone. You can make an entire franchise built around this alternate version of Star Trek or whatever, and you just got to slow roll it. You have to like you have to start with a good movie, and then you have to consistently put out movies every couple years, 2 to 3 years.
Star Trek 2009, we could argue, had that tone. Started out as a good movie.
Yeah, no, Star Trek 2009. The normies loved it. The second movie went way too deep, though. Like they thought, they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. We're gonna make a movie that all the normies are gonna like, and it's gonna start, Cumberbatch. Everyone thinks this guy's the best, but they were also like mixing in all kinds of like lore that only Star Trek fans would understand, and we didn't like it.
I mean, they didn't get it right.
Because they didn't get it right.
It was lore that Star Trek fans would like recognize, but you didn't have to be a Star Trek fan to get that movie.
No, you didn't. I didn't, but Star Trek fans would uniquely dislike it because of how different it was.
Right. So they tried to cater to Star Trek fans and to regular audiences. That was the whole idea, because if you look at the Star Trek Into Darkness, it's a regurgitation of prior Star Trek franchises.
Right,
Wrath of Khan,
you could have done that without pissing off the Star Trek fans, because then we give it a bad rate. We give it a bad, check mark. And normies are like, this is sort of slow in comparison to 2009. So then they tried to course correct.
I don't think it was slow, but yeah.
I mean, it was slow in comparison. Like it had a longer build up.
Hugely action-packed movie.
No, I'm telling you, Into Darkness wasn't as fast paced as 2009 or Beyond. Anyways, there was a slower build up. It was a little darker of a film. I feel like they course corrected really hardcore with Beyond by making it super colorful. They hired one of the Fast and Furious directors, and they went really far. To be fair, a lot of people like Beyond more than Into Darkness. So,
yeah, I mean, but the point is like, I think Star Trek would have to be like a groundbreaking type of movie. Like it would have to be like Avatar-esque, or there have to be some other a genre-raising element in order to be $1 billion movie. So I don't think that Star Trek alone could be $1 billion movie. I just don't think it's possible. So
I mean, dude, 2009 got close though, right?
No, I mean
600 and something million.
That's not close. So that's like the best it could do. Like that's the best it could do with an all-star cast.
That's true.
With a story that's, looking back on it, not so great, but at the time seemed pretty good.
Yeah, and it had an all-star director too. It had like everything going for it, and all the marketing and everything.
Yeah, like that was like max potential, I think. Unless you were able to like have a groundbreaking element to the movie, like something never shot before, never done before, never explored before. It's changing the way cinemas make movies.
Oppenheimer. Practical effects. Go watch this on an IMAX screen.
Nolan makes Star Trek, and it's like, oh my God, it's
Christopher Nolan's Star Trek would be pretty. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say Christopher Nolan's Star Trek would be awesome, except for I didn't like Oppenheimer. Okay, I don't want to watch Oppenheimer meet Star Trek.
2.5 hours of like, Vulcans just sitting around talking to Klingons.
And then like there's one giant explosion. No, don't worry. Practical effects. We actually blew up a moon.
Yeah, we blew up.
Wait, Chris, was it our moon? Closest moon we could find. Oh,
closest moon we could find.
Wait, is that why there's tidal waves on?
That would actually be really funny. Like, what's that YouTube video or YouTube show, like Pitch Meeting or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Nolan Star Trek Pitch Meeting.
So you want to blow up a moon? Yes, I do.
Our moon. Okay.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I think it's a great idea.
Wait, I like Archmage phrase comment here. Timothy Burton's Star Trek with Timothy Chalamet, Jenna Ortega, Johnny Depp.
Oh no.
Okay,
That actually gives me a headache.
We're way off the rails here. Okay. Let's go back into Star Trek 4. Is it really going to happen, guys? Okay. So Paramount, you got to remember, Paramount yanked Star Trek 4 from its planned December 2023 release. We would be looking into the face of a Star Trek 4 film had Shackman not backed out and there were problems with the script.
You know what's wild too, bro? I'm sorry. The studio was sort of silly about this budget because you know every single one of these Star Trek movies made a good amount of money. Like a good amount of money. Like with budgets of like $150 million, they're making 385, 467, $600 million. Big money.
No, they didn't. No, you're right. They didn't lose money. I think Beyond maybe didn't do as well at the box.
Beyond made $385 million.
What was its budget? Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, right here. $180 million.
Double it.
Yeah, so yeah, you double it. I guess it's not. Yeah, it's so it's probably breaking even. But like overall, the franchise is a total net positive. Even Into Darkness made almost $500 million.
But it's trending down, and so they didn't want to make a fourth movie right away and have him lose money because that was where the trend line was going.
That's true.
So what happened is they gave it some time to breathe, and then they started like polling people. And they're like, yeah, I would like to see a Chris Pine Star Trek movie again. Hello, let's bring this shit back.
I like Chris Pine.
People are interested in a Star. Yeah. Let's do it. And so they started the whole process. But here's, as we know, the problem is that Starfleet Academy is the problem.
Starfleet Academy, the bane of our existence.
It's the problem because they wanted to do Starfleet Academy as a movie, but they also wanted it. Kurtzman wanted it as a TV series. Yeah, some fighting over it. And so now we've got this thing. So the interesting part of
Starfleet Academy is so stupid. I'm sorry. I have to, Shane. I'm sorry, bro. I have to. Okay. First off, nobody is asking for a Starfleet Academy. I don't know a single person who has heard the idea of Starfleet Academy and goes, oh, I want to see that. No one gives a shit about watching cadets in Star Trek College. We don't want to see that. I don't know of a single Star Trek fan or even science fiction fan who thinks Starfleet Academy is a good idea. We have to let this horrible idea die. Please. It's plaguing everything. It plagues the movies. It plagues the series. It's plaguing Star Trek Legacy. It's constantly sitting there in this weird pseudo announcement stage, just fucking everything else up. Stop with Starfleet Academy. No one wants it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, done the right way, sure, maybe it could be done well. And that's what the reason why they're doing it is because everybody's like, hey, okay, we've done all this Star Trek. What haven't we done yet? Starfleet Academy. Like, that's why it's being done, because it's like the thing that they haven't done. So anyways, where's this coming from? So in a recent Collider interview, Pet Sematary Bloodlines writer-director Lindsay Anderson Beer said that Star Trek 4 is still on the tracks. Anderson Breer was a screenwriter working on Star Trek 4, although she left the project to make Pet Sematary. It's not clear which version of Star Trek 4 Anderson Beer is referring to, or if Paramount is scrapping whatever has been developed thus far and will reboot the Star Trek movie franchise, as Variety reports. As to what a new Star Trek movie reboot could be, okay, first off, they're not going to reboot it because they did polling. So they made a mistake. Variety, and listen, this mistake happens all the time. Yeah, I don't know why people use the term reboot.
Stop.
Okay. Reboot means starting over.
Well, obviously.
Okay?
Yes.
It means starting over. Now, all of you young people who are writing these fucking things, who didn't reboot a computer because you don't know what a fucking computer is,
right?
Okay, because it's all on your phone.
Because you're writing this on a tablet or a Microsoft Surface. You have no idea where the power button is. Everything is on screen touch.
The term reboot comes from restarting your computer, folks. Okay?
Yes, that's what it comes from. Rebooting a machine. You're rebooting it, starting over. It's starting over.
Right.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. Let's just look up the definition. Maybe we're wrong, Shane.
No, we're not.
No, because you got a good point, bro. You got a good point. You know what? And I want to make sure that your point is 100% correct, and we're not getting nuts. Here we go.
Watch it says it's a relaunch.
The verb is boot or be booted again. The new value will not be enforced until you reboot the system. Noun, an act or instance of booting a computer or system again. Be prepared for frequent reboots. Okay, the difference between reboot and revive, and here it is right here, right, is, and I love how they actually use Doctor Who.
Oh.
They actually use Doctor Who as a reference. When you're restarting something or rebooting something, you are starting over. When you are reviving something, what are you doing?
What?
When you are reviving something, what are you doing?
Reviving. Yes, you're bringing something back to life.
So if you're restarting or rebooting, you are starting over. If you are reviving, you are bringing it back to life from where it stopped.
And you know, the definition got the term reboot wrong.
What?
It says here, British television had a big hit with the reboot of Doctor Who. It wasn't a fucking reboot.
Jesus Christ.
Even the definition has reboot wrong.
Yeah.
It was what was the other word you used?
Revival.
Revival.
Yeah. Doctor Who, when Doctor Who came back, they didn't like do away with the last 50 years. They continued the story with a new actor. Like it's obviously it's a revival. It's not a reboot.
We might be crazy.
Maybe we're crazy, but I'll tell you right now, definition-wise, these are not reboots. They're not. They're not. It's a revival.
Or just say continuation.
Or a continuation.
You don't have to say reboot. Continuation. Okay. There we
go. God, get off your tablet, dude. Find a computer.
And even that's restart. Okay, so
right.
Get it right. Anyways, so I think it's likely that Variety just used the wrong word because of millennials.
Because they constantly use the wrong word.
They do. Because they did polling, they know that fans want to see Chris Pine, and in order to reboot Star Trek again, you would have to have all new actors. So I think they're probably wrong. I do think that what Beer is saying here is interesting. Obviously, she would have some conversations. Paramount obviously wouldn't just give up on Star Trek 4 completely. But I do think that it's not going to be announced anytime soon. I think we're going to have to wait until Paramount TV decides what it's going to do. And then they're going to need a new script. They're going to need a new script for Star Trek 4.
Yep. Heavily influenced by artificial intelligence.
What would you like Star Trek 4 to be about?
The continuing mission. Our continuing 5-year mission. To explore strange new worlds.
So get away from, can we please get away from the Federation?
Yes. Get away from the Federation.
Stay away from fucking Earth.
Yeah. Okay, stop with like world ending villains. Like we want to blow up Earth. We want to blow up the giant space station with millions of people. Let's stop. Let's go back to exploring. Can we just continue the 5-year mission? Okay. And this is not hard. You can literally make a movie every 2 years that will make millions and millions and millions of dollars by just copying the same format as Star Trek for the last 60 years and give us a story about some new planet they found with new whatever and some problem they have to solve and make it a full-length movie. You can do this for the next 15 years. These actors can die in this franchise, and you will make billions of dollars.
This is true. And listen, when you do it, the next movie needs to be a ship-based movie. So Beyond took us off the ship.
Yes.
Right.
It destroyed the ship.
We need a ship-based movie.
It destroyed one of the main characters immediately. That told you that. I don't think the writers totally understood that Beyond literally killed like one of the main characters. I mean, the ship is a character.
Right. Well, they're just going to have the Enterprise A come out now. So,
right.
And which is fine. They can do that. They got plenty of letters to go. So
that's true. They do. They have plenty of letters.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Once we get more news on a Star Trek 4, of course, that'll be huge news. And we'll keep you guys posted.
Yes. And from Adam Leader, he did a tip. Thank you, Adam Leader. This is what Adam says. Let me put it in here real quick. Adam Leader for $10. Thank you, Adam. He says, so just to be clear, Brian, do you or do you not want to see Starfleet Academy? Seems to me you're still on the fence.
Yeah, you were a little unclear there, buddy.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay.
And wait. Also from Christopher Mays. Let me just put it in here real quick. I gotta find a better system than this, by the way. From Christopher Mays, $20. Thank you, Christopher Mays. He says, I think Picard is a good reboot. He's messing with us.
That's messed up. Come on, Chris.
So there's thank you, Chris. Also, Archmage Phrase said, good point was, where did he put it? Where is it? BSG is a reboot.
Yes. Thank you.
I forgot exactly what he said, but he said he had two examples, and that's a good point. Yeah, BSG was 100% a reboot. It started from scratch, replacing characters and completely changing like everything about them. And to be fair, BSG is a pretty good. It's a good reboot. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's at. But he had a good point.
Okay, excellent.
And Doctor Who is revival. That's what he said. BSG is reboot. Doctor Who is revival. Yes, exactly.
Agreed. Okay, so let's talk. We have one more piece of Star Trek information because we have a very short trek that was actually pretty interesting. You know me, I'm not about humorous, and I don't necessarily think that it was that humorous, honestly. But some people are saying it's hilarious. It's called Holograms All the Way Down. It's a very short trek. I doubt we can show it here, right? It's on StarTrek.com. I put the link in the.
Well, you know what? Let's try it, Shane.
All right.
Yeah.
You can at least freeze it every once in a while.
Yeah, let's try it. Star Trek.
And what's interesting is the animation style that they chose here. They chose to use the original Star Trek animation style for the characters. And they do explore a plethora of our favorite Star Trek characters. Now, for Lower Decks and Prodigy, they use the current style. It was also written, this very short trek was written by the Prodigy showrunner, which I thought was cool.
Oh, yeah. It's on YouTube, actually. It's funny. All right, let's do it. Did you know that the Star Trek channel has less subscribers than our main channel?
Really?
I did not realize that. That's pretty.
They must not put any content up.
They have just over 100K, but we're above them somehow. Okay, here we go. You know what's funny is they did the new intro, but in the old animation style.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I love that.
I like that logo too. I don't know why.
That is the logo, brother.
Yeah. And it's like the audio is also garbage, like the original animated series was.
Totally perfect.
It's like mono, no stereo. It's like there's like 16 hertz easily.
That's great. So, I mean, I can appreciate little things like this, even though I'm not big on Star Trek humor. But
did we get kicked off stream? Are we still here, everyone? I wasn't even checking.
We're not even. I mean, they're not gonna give a shit.
I mean, they wouldn't even. Okay. They're still chatting. We're good. All right. So I guess none of that was copywritten. All right.
Well, it was 2 minutes, so I guess you could have gotten it, but
yeah.
So the Holograms All the Way Down. Of course, it opens with a play on the Enterprise series finale, an unconventional series ender that saw the Next Generation's Will Riker and Deanna Troi going through a holodeck simulation. Frakes once again reprises his role. So we got all the voices in here. You got Jonathan Frakes. You got Marina Sirtis. Armin Shimmerman plays Quark. Connor Trenier came back to do the voice, which I don't even remember him talking about doing this very short trek on. I might have missed it from his show. You got Noel Wells, of course, Tendi, Prodigy's Angus Emery, and George Takei playing Sulu. Looks like Doug Jones and Bruce Horak also gave their voices, and Ethan Phillips returns as Neelix.
It's cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah. I love me some Neelix. I know you don't like Neelix, but I like Neelix.
I like him better after Kess leaves.
Yeah, Kess. That whole idea was just a bad idea. Like, hey, this species is only 10 years old.
Well, she's not even 10. She's 2.
She's 2, yeah.
2 and 3.
She's 2 years old.
Yeah.
They lived to 10 years old, and Neelix is weirdly possessive over this seemingly child.
Well,
and he's dating the child.
Here's what's really weird. She was supposed to be the hot one.
And she's supposed to be the hot one?
The idea was she was the sexual tension of the show. Like Jerry Ryan would eventually be like the sexual, like that's what Kess was supposed to be.
Yeah. Why didn't they put her in more tight-fitting outfits then? They didn't work that. They didn't think that through.
Cute sprite blondie, I think is what they were going for. But what's funny is like it was either her or Harry Kim.
Yeah, but they didn't make it work right. Like, first off, like, unless you're a total creepoid, don't tell me the character is like 4 years old. Like,
I'm not sure. I mean, I get they want like a different alien. Listen, I get it. Like it's science fiction. So, maybe it takes, their 1 year is like our 20 years, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But no,
it's like reverse dog years.
But that's not actually the case. So yeah, she literally got old. So within a year, she like grew into a full woman.
Right.
So yeah, that is a little bit strange.
Right. Yeah, that was a bad character. I think you're right.
Well, what do you think of these very short treks as opposed to...
I do not like them. I think that the previous one was just gross and weird. I don't see a point. I don't really care. I feel like there's YouTubers that make better versions of this. And I don't care.
What do you think they're accomplishing? Because it doesn't. I mean, they're kind of keeping content. I guess a little bit of new content here and there. It's supposed to be having a little fun, but it doesn't seem to be moving the peg really. I mean, what are people waiting for? They're waiting for Discovery next. If you are waiting for more Star Trek,
I don't know. Like, it's not even on like the streaming service. Like, you have to be like on YouTube and like looking around.
It was not on Paramount Plus. I thought that was interesting. Like, it was not on Paramount Plus. It was on StarTrek.com. And
yeah,
so that's weird.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, I feel like you're just wasting money. Put that money into something valuable, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think YouTubers already know how to do that, and they do a better job. So
well said. Well, that's it for Warp Factor News.
Warp Factor News, and we're gonna get like a better voice. We're gonna have like the voice that says Warp Factor News, and we're gonna have a warp sound effect. Oh. Shane's gonna voice that, so that next week, when the title comes up, it's gonna be like Warp Factor News, and then it's gonna Warp Factor News, and then like a warp effect.
Okay, and so in lieu of that, box office roundup.
No, are we calling it roundup?
I have no idea what we're calling
box office breakdown.
That's terrible.
Okay, well, we need to discuss this ahead of time because I've already started on animation for this, and it takes a long time.
Listen, I'm sorry, and I appreciate you doing that, but breakdown is like the worst word you can use.
Okay, so we need the chat. There's 60 people here right now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. You guys tell us. We need some kind of segment title for the box office. And my idea was box office breakdown. Shane's box office.
It's not roundup.
Roundup.
It's terrible. I mean, it does make sense, like box office roundup. It's like, everything's going on. But we can do better than this, folks.
We need something. So someone get your thinking caps on while we're doing this segment and give us some title ideas.
Yes.
And I'll just restart all the work I did, and we'll use the best one.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, for
roundup,
the
like
office,
I feel like some cowboy thing. We hear roundup.
Well, you picked a breakdown, so shut up.
Box office bangarang. I love that.
What is that? Oh,
bangarang,
like the bat bangarang.
No, bangarang from Hook. Rufio.
I didn't like Hook.
Rufio. Bangarang.
All right, we'll think about that. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Good suggestion, Art Mage. Okay, so for this week's box office round, if you can pull up the box office mojo link I sent you, sir, so that people can take a look at it.
I can, and I will.
For the box office bangarang. I'm sorry.
As soon as the check clears. Here it is.
What?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, you're going to be waiting a long damn time.
we don't have any money.
The Nun 2 edged out Expendables 4. And that's not a good looking thing since Nun 2 was released 3 weeks ago. So last weekend, Nun 2 beat out Expendables 4.
Also, Nun 2 was far cheaper to make than anything on this list.
Was it?
Yeah. So. It's in the same vein as The Conjuring. Like these movies are not expensive in comparison to these.
There was a little bit of special effects, but you're right. So it says here that so Expendables 4 was released in China on September 15th to a budget of $100 million. That's before marketing. It has a global earning so far of $30 million. So that North American opening weekend of $8 million is a sign of disaster for this movie.
By the way, later, Don. Have a good one, man.
Take care, man. Thank you for coming and hanging out. The Nun 2 is a lock on the September worldwide box office at $206 million. That movie's making $206 million worldwide.
What?
And Equalizer 3 it comes in at second with $149 million.
That's wild. Musical. The Nun 2 is an absolute success. Like they are making like 5 and 6 times their money right now. Nun
3, bank it.
Oh, it's guaranteed. Yeah,
it's coming.
And by the way, I didn't even know there was a Nun 1. So like, when last week when we talked about Nun 2, I was like, is there a Nun 1? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. They just call it the Nun, though, bro.
I mean, obviously, motherfucker. Yeah, obviously.
So Dix the Musical. Which was supposed to release this week, is moving to next week. So for you guys, by the way, that movie is the A24 raunchy musical, which will either bomb or break records depending on word of mouth. So
is it something about like gay stuff? It is, right?
It's not that it's gay stuff. It's a musical, but it's extraordinarily vulgar. And the A24 is the movie that makes the really crazy horror flicks that like turn your stomach and make you want to like wonder why in God's
earth. Oh, like they made that one with Jenna Ortega. That was really good.
I don't know. They made like Midsommar, Inheritance.
So this is their version of comedy now?
Like this is like, yeah, they want to make things that shock the crap out of people. Like that's their whole shtick.
Like I don't want to watch a movie with all kinds of penises in it. Like
I don't know if there's nudity, but what I'm saying is it's like very vulgar. I saw the preview and I was like, dang.
Yeah, I don't understand what the big thing is. Like a lot of like the funny stuff right now is really leaning on dicks, like lots of dicks in their movies and stuff. Like I remember that movie, Get Him to the Greek. No, the other one. The other one with Brand. I forgot what it was called, but that movie was really shocking because for the first time in a long time there was like a long drawn out shot of just a giant penis in like a rated R movie. That's no longer shocking. It's just sort of gross.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think that this is about dicks, even though it says that. I think it's just supposed to be very shocking verbally. The songs have really dirty, disgusting songs. So go back and like take a look at Team America, right?
Best movie ever.
Okay, it's a great movie, right? But it's filthy. It's a filthy movie.
Matt Damon.
So maybe that's where this is going. I mean,
maybe
will I watch it far from the ears of my children? Probably. So we can tell you this about.
I gotta tell you, if Trey and Matt ever came back to make a movie, I would simp so hard for those guys.
I even like basketball.
Yeah, I did too. I had no problem with it.
I love those guys.
I understand that it's not a great movie, but there's so many good parts. There's so many elements that are like so Trey and Matt that I can always watch it.
Even Rocky had a montage, right, Lord Toth? Okay, so yeah, let's just take a look here. So that movie is moving. So if you were like waiting for it to come out this week, you're gonna have to wait a week for Dix the musical. We do have let's see,
Terrifier 2 already came out. Why is it coming out again?
it's a re-release. I don't know why,
It's weird.
but who cares, right? It sounds like a terrible movie.
Ooh,
Movies-
Saw X is coming out.
Okay, so let me finish here.
Sorry, go ahead.
So movies out this weekend include Dumb Money,
Yeah.
which of course is recounting the GameStop investing phenomenon. We have Saw 10, The Creator, which I plan on seeing, so we can talk about it next week.
Okay.
Paw Patrol for those people with little ones that needed some entertainment this weekend. I think the quiet winner could end up being The Kill Room, which brings Samuel L. Jackson and Uma Thurman back together in a hitman, art dealer, money laundering scheme that turns the assassin into an overnight sensation. The trailer is not so good, but the story is unique and the actors are talented. So that's
Wait.
what I have for going on this week.
It's Joe Manganiello? How do you say this guy's name? Manganiello? Blah, 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 blah.
What you got?
Whatever his name is. I like this guy, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, he's been in a couple good movies.
But you know what? Unfortunately, even though I like Joe Manganiello, I think his involvement is not that he is bad, but he's always in bad movies,
Right.
which makes me think that this won't be a breakout.
Well, but he's not the star of this movie.
He's on the poster. He's like, out of the three characters,
one of the
him,
three.
Irma, and
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson.
He's a main character, but if you watch the trailer, it's like he barely even says anything. So
Yeah, I think he has bad luck. He like picks the wrong movies.
he was in a movie where he played like a super talented baseball player when he was a kid, and then he like accidentally killed somebody.
That sounds
and he went
good.
to prison for a long time, and he came back out and like was able to coach. But it was a really good movie actually. I can't remember the name of it, but
So I know someone who saw The Creator, and they were telling me that it was like it's gonna be the movie of the year.
Really?
Yeah, and
Oh.
then if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, all right, whatever you say, buddy, but the Rotten Tomatoes is at the time the Rotten Tomatoes, when it had like 15 reviews, it was like 100%, and now it's at 69%.
That's critical. So if the fan score is boop, then maybe who gives a crap about the critical rating?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right.
You know, I mean, it depends. Honestly, sometimes I worry the critical rating. Sometimes, it's critically good for all the wrong reasons.
Well, yeah, sometimes the critical rating turns people off to watch the movie. Because like there's normies still think that the critics know what the F they're talking about, when in reality they don't anymore.
Right. My concern is that David, the main actor in the movie, David Washington, is that his name?
Yeah, the guy from Ballers, bro.
Right. So I loved him in Ballers.
John David Washington. He's great in Ballers, yeah.
But I didn't love him in Tenet. And Tenet was supposed to be a huge movie.
I hated him in Tenet, actually. I didn't like him at all. I thought his character was dry, almost slow to react.
Yes.
He did not have, and I don't know if it's his fault. It's hard to say that it's Christopher Nolan's fault.
Right. So now this movie is going to tell us. So if he's not great in this movie, if we're not seeing that thing we saw in Ballers, and it's possible that like he just resonates with that character from Ballers. He was fantastic as that character.
He was also in Amsterdam, and the only reason I watched that movie
I did not like that movie.
The only reason I continued to watch that movie was him though. He made that movie watchable.
I would argue it's not watchable.
I don't think I don't think that's being harsh.
It's a terrible movie. It's fucking terrible.
I don't think it's terrible. I think it's just not good.
It's a ridiculous, terrible movie.
I think he's good in that movie.
I watched 3/4 of it and I stopped watching it.
Well, I'm shocked and appalled that you would stop watching that movie when why? Because it's too slow when you're sitting there watching Oppenheimer.
And I watched all of the movie that was recently just came out by the crazy guy who makes movies about Meteor Crater City. I watched all that movie.
Oh, Asteroid City or whatever.
Asteroid City. I watched all of that movie.
That
but
movie
I
was
could
horrible.
Not get through this other
You
movie.
couldn't get through Amsterdam, but you can get through Asteroid City.
Yes. and
I don't know what to
movie.
say. I feel like that's like there's some kind of switcher. Like, did you like play a Uno card with a switcheroo? Makes no sense. Creator City was so slow and weird.
It was weird.
That
Maybe
I left the theater. Listen, I almost never
left the theater.
I almost never leave a theater because I'm usually with my wife and I'll stick it out.
Was the only time I left the theater.
But dude, I went to go see that movie alone. I thought we were going to talk about it on the show. So I used one of my free Cinemark tickets to watch it. And I'm sitting there at like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. I'm so goddamn bored right now. And then I got the message from you that said that you had not seen it yet. I'm like, oh fuck, I need to be here. And I just left.
Oh my God, you gotta.
So I was literally halfway through it. And I remember the ticket I had was free because I get a free ticket every month. So I'm sitting there in a free ticket and you slacked me and you're like, yeah, didn't watch the Asteroid City thing. I'm like, oh fuck, all right, I'm leaving.
That's hilarious, dude. I got to tell you, Wes Anderson's movies are weird.
They're
just
weird,
but
just awful.
This was like next fucking level Anderson weird. Like it's a play that's happening in real life that, frankly, the ending is so stupid.
It's everything about it is bad.
Yeah.
So what else has the guy's been in though? He's been the Black Klansman, which I thought was a decent movie.
It was a good movie, but he was supporting.
Yeah.
You know. So, and it was a good movie. I liked it.
I don't know, man. Maybe he's not a good actor.
We're gonna find out. If Creator is good because of him, we're gonna find out.
Which would sort of bum me out because I really like him in Ballers. If you guys don't know what Ballers is, it's actually a show.
HBO.
It's on HBO Max. It's about an ex-football player who is like he got hurt or whatever, and he like it's The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And he basically starts an organization, or business or whatever that manages football players and their money.
Yeah.
It sounds boring as hell, but I'm telling you right now, it's not.
Fantastic.
It's really good. And guys, I'm not even a football fan.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about football or really care. I only watch Super Bowl and I watch Dolphins games because my brother likes the Dolphins, but I don't really care that much about football. But I watch Ballers and I'm like, this show is outstanding. Even the intro, just the intro. Like if you ever want to get like, oh, you need to get up and do some work or whatever, just watch the intro to Ballers.
That's true. Yeah.
Right there, you're like, oh shit, I gotta get to work.
Gotta get busy. Come on.
Yeah, it's really good. And John David Washington's in it. He plays a sort of a football player trying to get his life together, and he's very, very good. Very, very good.
Yeah, and a great show. So if you get a chance, check that out. And also, thank you, Dr. Jacked, for giving us the Joe Manganiello movie called Bottom of the Ninth. Good movie, worth watching, worth the price of popcorn.
And what? That's the movie where he plays the.
That's where he plays the talented baseball player who gets into a fight and goes to jail.
Yeah, I like Joe. I've liked him ever since True Blood. Even though I didn't like. It's funny because I liked True Blood when it first came out, and then it got real weird and like sexual and like this is being clearly
as vampire things do.
And I know, but like really, it got really weird.
Wait, did it get Diaries of a Vamp? What is it? Diaries of no.
Yeah. Vampire Diaries style.
What was the one with
To a Twilight?
No. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. What was that?
Oh, Interview with a Vampire.
Interview with a Vampire.
It was like Interview with a Vampire with more sex.
Yeah.
And they started introducing like a lot more lore to it, like shapeshifters and werewolves and shit like that.
I think vampire stories are for chicks.
And pixies and fairies.
I really think they are. I think vampire stories are for chicks.
Well, it started off great. Like the idea was cool. Like there's this character, but basically vampires are real. They've been in the shadows. And then at some point, someone invented a synthetic blood called True Blood. And you can buy this synthetic blood And so now vampires came out from the shadows and they live, not literally in the shadows, they die, but they come out in the open like the vampires are real. They've been around for a long, long time. Yeah. And now that there's True Blood, they don't have to kill humans anymore. And whatever, it's a cool concept. But this show got real weird. In fact, I would say the turning point was when they introduced the werewolves, which Joe Manganiello's character is. And I really liked him, but that's also where I started disliking the show. And I'm realizing I like Joe, but he somehow always starts in a project where I start to dislike that project. Right. Like, I even started to dislike Mythic Quest a little bit, and he happened to just join the cast at that season.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, when you get in there, you're like, this is sort of dumb. You start thinking like, this is sort of dumb. And that's when Joe shows up. Oh, it's not Joe's fault. I think he's picking the wrong stuff.
All right, well, it could be. So that's it for our box office stuff. But come back next week. We're going to be talking about The Creator. We'll be looking at October movies, and we'd like, we want to make this a weekly thing so that you guys can see what's going on. And yeah, I think it's.
Can I just read the synopsis for The Creator real quick? Against the backdrop of a war between humans and robots with artificial intelligence, a former soldier finds the secret weapon, a robot in the form of a young child. This summer,
one movie, one man,
one child, one robot
child will change the world.
Dude, do me a favor. Can you read the synopsis in your movie voice?
Which one? Oh, for
The Creator, and take it seriously.
Okay. Creator synopsis.
By the way, you guys, Shane's got an awesome movie voice.
Stop! You're pressuring me, man.
No, actually, it's shitty. So show me what you got.
I think it's better. As the future war between the human race and artificial intelligence rages on, ex-Special Forces agent Joshua is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, an elusive architect of advanced AI. The Creator has developed a mysterious weapon that has the power to end the war and all of mankind. As Joshua and his team of elite operatives venture into the enemy-occupied territory, they soon discover the world-ending weapon is actually an AI in the form of a young child. There you go.
Love it. Someone said vampire stories are for ladies. And I love this. Archmage says, I don't think Underworld was for chicks, lol. Yeah, Underworld.
Yes, Beckinsale was for us.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Underworld was for red-blooded men. Straight red-blooded men.
I will honestly say Kate Beckinsale was one of those moments in movie, like, I got a type, like the Susanna Hoffs type, right? From Bengals. So yeah, Kate Beckinsale.
The weirdest thing is, like, I think that Kate Beckinsale at the beginning of that, at the start, when that movie came out, was everyone's type. When the trailer pops up and she's literally doing, like, in slow motion, she's doing splits in the air, and then she comes down, the camera literally goes through her crotch, and she comes down into like the 3-point superhero pose.
Oh, we all remember,
right? Yes. The camera is focusing directly on her face, but also because she's in that pose, her cleavage is completely out, and then she pops her head up, and it's like Underworld. You're like, is this porn? Is this vampire porn? Because, like, it was shot in a way that, like, it's going to leave.
We're going to talk about it.
The trailer is going to show you literally everything, every part of this woman's body in 30 seconds in slow motion.
We got to pull her up for the movie if you're going to talk about it.
No, I'm done.
They're looking at us. Come on.
All right, I'll pull up.
If you're going to talk about Katie, I know this is stuff we usually do in the member section. We should probably.
All right, I'll pull it up.
But from that movie,
from that movie, I'm not gonna pull up some random Kate Beckinsale. You're like, hey, here's her on MrSkin.com.
Oh, hold on, this is important. We may have just offended someone. Adam Leader, Kate Beckinsale's father, was my grandmother's cousin.
Then you have good genes.
Got good genes, brother.
Yeah, and her eyes in the movie too. Remember her eyes were like that, like crystal blue color.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She like just screams like super hot 90s chick. Like in every way. She's like hot
Except in
late
2003,
90s
but
chick.
okay.
She looks like Evanescence if Evanescence had a hot lead singer.
That's fair.
Linkin Park if Linkin Park had a hot woman singer. I don't know. It's very hard to explain.
Do we not have like, I don't know why I can't make this picture bigger. We got Blana Torres vibes going off here, don't we?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't like Blana Torres the way you do.
I know you don't, but I'm talking about looks. Just maybe she just shuts up.
No, it doesn't. No, I don't think so. No, Ken Bixby has like a weird softness to her but also like she might kill you, which is sort of my thing.
What might kill you?
Yeah, that's why I like Latinas so much. Like they're loyal, they're hot, they're gonna love you, but then if you piss them off, they might literally burn down your house, running out of the door with your severed penis in their hand as you scream in the bedroom.
Pull up. That's terrible, dude. Pull up that picture that I just sent.
That's Latinas for you, bro. That picture is so tiny, bro. Like you gave me was this the smallest picture you can find, dude? Is this the smallest picture you can find?
That reminds me of Blana Torres, or
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So we got one more thing to talk about now that you've totally distracted me, Brian. How did you start?
Not me. No, it's a chat. It's Archmage Frey.
No, Joe to True Blood to Underworld. That's how you got there.
Oh, yeah.
It's you.
You know, it's really easy to like move me around. You just you have to trigger some memory or thought or rant,
and it'll just
and then keep it as I'm complaining. Start chatting, and then like sort of move me to the next direction. As long as like it's loosely connected, you can totally get me off track.
It's literally happening right now.
It's happening. It's literally happening as we speak.
Okay. So, our final topic of the day before we go to the members section. Not nearly as exciting. The MetaQuest 3 and Xbox are about to change gaming.
MetaQuest 3.
I ordinarily would not do a story like this, but I feel like I'm seeing the future, and I would be remiss to not share with you something that I think is absolutely coming.
MetaQuest 3.
I believe that for young people, not for
oh my god, wait, is it pass through? Holy shit, is it pass through?
What does pass through mean?
Okay, pass through is when you're seeing your environment, but there's things inside your environment.
Oh,
that's adjusted. Pass through, so it's pass through augmented reality.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's like the holy grail of these VR headsets, because it's very difficult to properly render your, with a limited processing power you have in these devices, to properly render your environment, but then also draw over that environment. You have to have LiDAR and all kinds of things to sort of make that a perfect situation. It's very difficult. The reason I have never bought a VR headset, even though I am a big tech guy and I always get the newest thing, is every time I've used one, I'm like, it's sort of cool. But I really what I want is the Iron Man experience. I want to be able to move things around in my reality. I want to be able to put my glasses on and see like 5 screens in front of me and actually edit video or something like that. That's what I want.
Yeah, like the Tom Cruise movie where he was like,
Minority Report. That's what I want. But I would settle for this, because imagine going jogging with one of these things on.
Why?
Well, think about it. Think about your jogging, and you turn on like Jurassic mode, where like you can have it's your environment, but you can also have velociraptors chasing you.
You can also be chased by a velociraptor to
get
your
or maybe you turn on beach mode, where like you're jogging, but like the street, instead of being the street, it's like sand with hot chicks, and so you're like, oh, all right. I mean, dude, think about what you could do.
Still be there, right? Like, that sounds dangerous.
I'm not saying you walk into the street.
Like,
but you can. But think about this. With this technology, you can make any boring, monotonous task at least a little more enjoyable. You can literally recolor your world.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
So you could augment your reality. Okay, I got it. So, all right. Now that we've gone off on another tangent, which is a good tangent that we went off on, I will say that I do believe we are looking at the future of gaming, period. Okay, not our generation, not probably even necessarily the generation right behind ours, but for future generations. And I'll tell you why. My children, we have a MetaQuest 2, okay? And my children fight over it. In the last year, the MetaQuest 2, which I put it on and I throw up.
This guy's
That's
using
how
his
much-
fingers without
Yes, you
the
don't have to
controller.
use- right,
Really?
Hand tracking, yeah.
What the? Is that real?
That's real, yeah.
Oh
kids
my
do it all the
god! Oh my god! I want it so bad. Oh my god!
time.
Oh my god! I want this so bad. I want this. I want this so
Yes, you can do all these things. So what's interesting is, though, I put it on and I throw up. Okay, obviously, because I can't tolerate the latency. What is it?
bad. Yeah, the latency. Do you wear glasses though?
I don't.
Really? So you have
And-
no eye issues whatsoever?
I don't, but it makes me nauseous when I play it for
'Cause
more than like 5 minutes.
People that are short-sighted
Mhm.
tend to have problems with VR. People that are far-sighted tend to actually have less problems with VR.
Oh, okay. Well, I also struggle in first-person video games.
Oh yeah.
So,
You like third
you know,
person.
I do. I struggle with, and I don't know. So, but my kids are totally obsessed. And in the last year, on the MetaQuest, not only have they, got these games now where you got multiple people playing the games, but they've incorporated Roblox into the MetaQuest 2.
That sounds
My
rad.
kids, dude, my kids don't play on the tablet no more. They stick that thing on and they're inside the Roblox world walking around playing Roblox.
No, really?
Yes. And this latest news that just came out, Mark Zuckerberg made a deal with Microsoft, and the new MetaQuest 3 will include Xbox gaming, cloud gaming. You'll be able to play
No.
Xbox games on your MetaQuest 3.
Okay, so I need a MetaQuest 3.
Yes,
I
you
don't think I've ever been so excited as I am right now.
Right.
Like I need this. And when I get this, I need to take like a week off.
And just play with
Like a
it, yeah.
full week off. Damn, this sounds awesome.
Imagine being in Grand Theft Auto and being in Grand Theft Auto. That's what we're talking about. Instead of playing the game with your controller, you're walking around and you're playing the game with your feet and your hands. And it's coming. And I think that if you're not investing into Microsoft and Meta, if you do invest your money, that's where you should put all your money, in my opinion.
See, this is what I was talking about though. And this is like, you can understand how next gen this is. Look at this idea. So this guy right now, he's sitting in his living room, right?
Mhm.
There's a table in front of him. He puts it on. His room doesn't change. Notice this?
Yeah.
Oh man, I went back too far. My bad. So his carpet is the same color, right? But all of a sudden the table has the tabletop game on it or whatever he's
Yes, the
playing.
D&D is a D&D tabletop.
Right. Okay. His room, these are augmented effects. Now, if like this is obviously a commercial, this guy's playing a game in his actual room.
Yes.
So this is obviously an advertisement. But if it's like 70% of what they're showing you, this is literally next level stuff.
Or
Like
you can
next
be
level.
or you can be in a completely different world.
Well, see, she's in a completely different world. She taps the side, and then it goes back to her place. Doesn't take the goggles off. Still picks up her water bottle and drinks.
Now you can do that with the Quest 2 as well.
You can tap it and
So
see
if
your environment.
You can't tap, but if you step out of your box, if you step out of your the thing you've created to be in the world,
Mm-hmm.
it will show you through the Quest. You can see the regular world.
Is it like bad resolution though?
Yeah, it's black and white.
Yeah,
But
that
you
wasn't
can
black
fix
and
it.
white.
No, you're right. But I'm just saying, even now, so I'm just telling you, like, the future of gaming is this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, what was that movie? Ready Player One? Like, we're a long ways from that still.
Yeah, obviously.
But, haptic suits and all that crap. I mean, I do believe it could happen, but like,
Yeah, you want haptic suits to happen? You need to just introduce them to like the adult industry, and I guarantee you, the technology
it can't work.
will be funded and it will advance decades in a matter of years, right? I'm just that's what's going to happen. That's what would happen. It would become revolutionary overnight.
In order for that to work properly, you'd have to be able to have something to fit around your Johnson in order for that to really work, and then have it properly,
I don't see that as being a massive problem. There's already stuff that fit on your Johnson.
All right.
I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty easy thing to do.
I mean, it's going to happen. Of course, they're the first ones to always do this stuff.
Right.
I actually saw a movie. I don't know which one it is. Maybe you guys can remember which one it was. It was in the 80s, early 80s. And it was basically people wearing glasses, and they would be transported, they'd be flying or having sex with someone or all that stuff. And they taught, this was years ago, but it's for real. It's happening.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it's an exciting product, not for us. I mean, for Brian's going to dig it. I can't use it, but I can watch my kids play it, like on a phone or the TV or whatever. So it's pretty cool.
It's super rad. And you know what? It's going to be a tiny percentage of what that stupid Apple one cost.
Apple's killing themselves by making that thing too expensive.
Dude, it's like $4,500. Like, what the what? Who's going to pay that much money?
I mean, people are going to pay for it. 100%.
Yeah, but very few people.
Yeah,
come on.
They're going to have to get their price way down. And who knows, maybe at some point Apple does figure it out. But
dude, the Meta Quest 3 is only $500.
Yeah,
I know that's a lot of money, but
Facebook has got the corner on this market right now.
Right.
100%.
It's wild. And Meta has a Ray-Ban Meta? Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Oh man. Me and Meta are gonna get they have regular glasses that allow you to do AR. Oh my god.
Jeez.
Oh Jesus.
That's the future right there.
Yeah. Yeah, look at this. Like that's gonna be like when that's perfected, bro. When I can use I have prescription glasses coming, right? I can use my prescription glasses, but also have AR functionality where I can answer calls and see information about the real world. That's gonna be revolutionary. Like no one will not use this because they would be at a disadvantage to the rest of the world.
That is the future, but the question is just how far away. It could be decades before that's a thing. Or who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
So that's it for the show.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. We're going to the members section. I'm sorry.
Who is our winner today?
I'm a little blown away right now at this Meta thing. You shouldn't have done this story because now all I want to do is look at more Meta crap.
All right.
You ruined it for me.
I didn't ruin it for you. I set you free, bro. I set you free. I gave you something to look forward to. Now this is all, guys. We can't even finish the damn show. Brian's gonna be looking up nothing but Meta stuff. Okay, here's the deal. I believe Chris M is the winner of the podcast Stream Hero today, right?
Yes, Chris M is for sure. He dominated it.
I think he had it most of the time, and I'm assuming it's Christopher Mays. Is that right?
Christopher Mays, yep.
Christopher Mays, is that you? All right, brother. Congratulations. You have not the first time you've won, so I have your information, and we'll be sending you out a mystery package for
mystery pack.
And let me just say thank you to everybody else who gave donations today to help out. Honestly, Brian and I are doing this show, and we making no money except for what you guys support us with. So we appreciate you guys spending your hard-earned money to support us. What's next, Brian?
Someone said XR is greater than AR. Can you explain that to me? What is XR?
I don't know. I know augmented reality.
Extended reality? Is that what that is?
Probably.
Oh, I see. Extended reality is a catch-all term to refer to augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So XR. So AR is one thing. So you have AR, VR, and MR, but extended reality incorporates every one of those things. So an XR device will be able to use pass-through every one of them. I see.
I think that's the MetaQuest 3 does extended reality.
That is so badass.
Cool, right?
Mystery package. I like this. Mystery package. We need a size. We have a size though.
Oh yeah, we have Chris's size.
Okay,
he's won before.
All right, cool.
We got you, man.
Okay, what else, Shane? Before we leave, before we go to the
That's it.
members section, the members
Member section. Yeah, we got that coming up. Make sure if you guys come back again next week, we appreciate you all. Make sure you hang out in Discord with us during the week. I have found myself there more lately. We have we're in the middle of fantasy football right now, so all of you guys playing that, I'm sure we'll talk about that too. So thanks so much for coming and hanging out. And next week we'll have something else fun to talk about. The creator, for sure.
The creator. Okay, now if you guys want to join us in the members section, it's pretty simple. You can click on the link in the description below. I'm just going to type that a couple times. Or you can also go to the pinned comment right now in the chat and in the regular chat. Or you can do nothing. You can literally just wait. And if I set this up correctly, it should transfer you over there. But if not, please click on the link in the description, go to the members after show, or click on the link in the chat, whatever, and join us. Join us for a month. See how you like it. You know, it's always a fun time. We do this every single week. And we're also adding more. We're going to be adding more and more stuff to the member section as we go. Right now, we're just trying to get our documentaries out in time. But yeah, come join us. It's going to be an awesome time. Shane?
That's it. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you again, of course, next Thursday, unless you're meeting us in the member section. So you guys have a fantastic week. We love you. Appreciate you. See you around town.
All right. See you guys over there. And if we don't, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.